Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the GDPSports High School Football Broadcast. Tonight's game is brought to you by the following sponsors. Frost, more than a century of serving Texans and now in the Frost Tower. Central Builders, the Ehrlich family is dedicated to the construction industry with coast-to-coast projects. The law firm of Thomas J. Henry, open 24 hours with legal experts on call. John Lester's Insure One, providing Texans with home and auto protection. By Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union, a credit union that puts people before profits. By APIA Connected Investors, Shannon DeLon, providing insurance for real estate investors. BCFS, a beacon of hope for families around the world. REMAX, by Chris Collins, buying or selling a dream home in the real estate world. GPS of Texas, peace of mind for all drivers with installed tracking devices. Dr. Eric Kuhl, providing that $1 million smile with a future of dental health. By Gridiron Heroes, dedicated to assisting young men suffering from football-related spinal cord injuries. Cherry Hills Baptist Church, where the Lord provides the football field for eternity. By Mecca Sportswear, supplying the leather jacket of pride for your school and sport. Eagle Print, where San Antonians take their printing for quality and satisfaction since 1974. Also brought to you by one name that stands out in the San Antonio rental car business, Budget Car and Truck Rental on Sandow Road just east of 281 North.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our turf train as we ride these rails of nostalgia on this very, very hot September night. We'll turn back the calendar pages of 56 years to November of 1963. That night, the Brackenridge Eagles against the Robert Lee Volunteers. More than 26,000 fans jammed this old stadium, the largest high school arena in Texas in that day. It was called the Old Rockyard, Alamo Stadium. Final score, Lee 55, Brackenridge 48. It showcased two of the best running backs in San Antonio and Texas gridiron history. Warren McVeigh, who went on to play at the University of Houston, who could fly like an eagle, and Linus Bear, the volunteer who could run like a runaway freight train and was recruited by Darrell Royal at UT. That cold night, a week after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, San Antonio sports fans had never seen anything quite like it, believe me. McVeigh scored all 48 points that night. Linus tallied 47. So tonight we return to this historic edifice after a multi-million-dollar facelift, a beautiful arena. And it's an edifice where that immortal game took place. Brackenridge has continued to notch victories in the W column, but the one-time powerhouse of South Texas gridiron wars, they've had a tough time in their football fortunes, but the history continues. It was called Robert E. Lee Volunteers, and it's been erased from the scrapbooks, but it's still alive in the hearts of many South Texas football fans, including Watosh. Me. I'm still ticked off about it, friends. Yep. The legacy of education excellence, that's the name now. Unfortunately, those who are responsible have left the school board, and they attempted to erase historic football facts, but they still live in the record books. So tonight, the Eagles will begin hosting the Volunteers. Brack under Coach Willie Hall is 1-0. They beat Somerset last week. Lee's lost. 19 straight games they've lost. Coach Danny Crows is attempting to reconstruct the form of the past. Tonight, perhaps that spirit will revive and the Brack-Lee contest can resurrect a new football image for these two schools. Good evening, everybody. I'm the old guy, Gary DeLon, and I decided to revisit this historic stadium as I have begun my 60th year to broadcast Texas high school football. I'm joined with the youngest play-by-play man in Texas. He's going to be one of the best, too. Chase Holly. And then you've got veteran sports writer, sports editor, and spur analyst Richard Oliver. Longtime broadcaster and videographer Charles Vickers. And our prayerful producer, the Reverend Rob Hicks. We need all the prayers we can get, friends. Mark Witherell is in Aggieland tonight. Walter Stoops is traveling to Baylor with UTSA. So, from this famous football fortress, the renovated Rockyard, Alamo Stadium, come on in, friends, for tonight's game between Brack and Lee. Admission is free. We'll return in a few moments with Chase, Richard, and Charles This is Frost High School football on GDP Sports.
We expect a lot from the teams we give our loyalty to. We expect them to play through the pain, leave it on the field, and give 110%, even though that's impossible. Yet when it comes to the banks we give our money to, we expect less than we do of the backup punter. At Frost, we want to change the way you think about banks entirely by never stopping when it comes to giving you our very best. And if you need to armchair quarterback us sometime, go for it. It'll only make us better. See what you can expect at frostbank.com/expect more.
APIA specializes in real estate investor insurance. For years, investors have struggled managing individual insurance policies. So APIA built a program to put investors' properties under one insurance policy. They've been helping investors save time and improve cash flow nationwide since 2001. APIA has the flexibility to meet the unique demands of both investors and financial institutions. Call in the real estate asset protection experts today, www.apiaprotects.com, or call 877-752-2742.
While some banks are slow to approve auto loans, RBFCU is hitting the gas. With one of San Antonio's lowest loan rates and fast online approval, you'll have more time and money to live life your way. Apply today at rbfcu.org. Subject to credit approval, rates and terms subject to change. Other restrictions may apply. Better rates. It's what we do at RBFCU.
Hard work, dedication, commitment. Qualities that are found on a winning football team and qualities that you should look for in a contractor. Central Builders has conducted their businesses by these qualities for 25 years. The dedication has resulted in coast-to-coast clients who aim to build, remodel, and restore their large and small businesses. Many school districts and grocery chains, such as HEB, have selected CBI as their first string to implement and improve existing structures as well. Call CBI 210-590-0235.
Back at Alamo Stadium. Good morning. Good evening, everyone. We're in this Memorial Arena to witness two teams traveling in different directions. The Brackenridge Eagles under Coach Willie Hall's guidance and the Lee Volunteers, coached by former local football star Danny Cloza, whose father John Cloza was a well-known athlete and tremendous sports referee. The Eagles have been to the playoffs 11 of the last 12 years, and it seems probably they'll return to the postseason again this year. The Volunteers have been lost in the desert of despair, having been winless in 19 games, and Coach Cloza is attempting to find that spark of energy to find the rescue boat in the ocean of defeat. Brackenridge competes in 5A, while Lee attempts to survive in the larger 6A classification. But we still expect a competitive contest, as the memories of the past games so many years ago can inspire a great competition on the artificial turf of Alamo Stadium. For Coach Hall, Brack is selected to finish third in District 13 5A. He has 7 returning starters and 5 on the defense. Offensive lineman Diego Cornejo is 6'5" and 250 pounds of granite who can open the holes for quarterback Julian Cameron, who is 6'1", 175 pounds, and speedy running back Justin Cabrera, who runs a 4.5 on his 40 and is 5'9", 175-pound frame. The Eagles were 6-5 last season, losing the first round of playoffs. For Coach Cloza, he has another challenge, as the Lee student body has several hundred in the magnet school, and their manpower is small in numbers. He has 5 starters returning on both sides of the ball, and the red and gray is led on defense by state wrestling champion Adam Bell at 6'2", 220 pounds, and a relative of Alamo Heights star defender Henry Bell, who is 6'4", 250 pounds of muscle for the Mules. On offense, Jonathan Goss de Leon is 6'4", 252 pounds. Quarterback William Sebolt is 5'10", 170 pounds. The Vols can compete with most teams for 3 quarters, but due to smaller numbers of quality players, they seem to lose strength as the game progresses. So Coach Cloza is hoping to inject more staying power in the Volunteers, who still possess the will to win, but have faded in the stretch for 19 games. The climate is more uncomfortable than wearing wool trousers on a sunburn, but we expect the temperature will be forgotten in the true heat of football combat. We'll return with Richard, Charles, and the starting lineups after these messages for the people who support high school football. You are listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Facebook Sports.
According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, more than 100 Americans die each day in traffic crashes, and thousands more are injured. If you were injured in a car crash, call Thomas J. Henry. Thomas J. Henry handles serious auto accident cases and gets serious results for injured clients. Start your free claim today at tjhlaw.com/radio. That's tjhlaw.com/radio.
San Antonio, Texas.
Every family wants the assurance that their most valuable possessions are protected and secure for the future. That's why you need the most insurance coverage that budgets can afford. Even though his company is headquartered in Texas, John Lester is expanding his company from coast to coast. He has recently added several major insurance companies to better serve his growing clientele. You are protected from hurricane, fire, auto accidents, even a polar bear attack. John Lester once played linebacker for the Bastrop Bears, knows the importance of insurance. Call John Lester's Insure 1-210-541-9771.
You don't hear many cheers for banks. It could be because chants like 2, 4, 6, 8, let my savings account appreciate don't exactly whip crowds into a frenzy. But more likely, it's because most banks haven't given us much to cheer about. It hasn't always been that way. At Frost, we've been San Antonio's hometown favorite since 1868. And if you don't bank with Frost yet, come on over. We promise to never stop working to make you a big fan of everything we do. Visit frostbank.com/expectmore.
Welcome back to GDP Production Sports here at Alamo Stadium, the historic Alamo Stadium, a wonderful edifice for football. I like to say edifice because that's what Gary always brings up, that word, and I never get to use it except during football season. Edifice. I like it. It's a famous edifice. Lots of things happened here over the years. Lee and Brackenridge, of course, with a legendary game back in 1963, right after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. This city, of course, enraptured during that time and needed this ball game at that point. So Lee and Brackenridge, one of the famous and storied rivalries in San Antonio history. And, of course, though, however, over the last few years, Lee and Brackenridge going in separate directions. Lee having lost 19 consecutive games. They have a magnet school on campus, inflates their numbers, and, of course, they play in 6A with a diminished number of kids who could actually play football. It's affected Danny Cloza and his staff, of course, as they try to make some things happen and magical things. This year, very freshman-laden roster, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they play tonight against Brackenridge. We had a chance to talk to Danny Cloza on the field before the game. Let's go to that interview right now.
3, 2.
Coach Danny Cloza of the Lee Volunteers. I almost said Robert E. Lee Volunteers. Danny, it's great to see you as always, and I know every week is a challenge for these youngsters, but they still have that power and that surge. They want to win.
Absolutely. You know, kids are working hard. We got our motto this year, you know, we're not going to ring the bell. No ringing bells. So they fight to the last whistle, and they get after it, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
You do have a couple of players that are pretty darn good and big, too. You got Bill, and then you got the big kid that's, 250, 256, and 6'4"?
Yeah, we have a few big ones. Adam Bell, of course, on the defense is about 235. He's grown a little bit over the summer, put on about 15, 20 pounds. And then we have a left tackle. It's about 270, and center's pretty big. But we have some bigger kids this year, and then we got a lot of youth, some young kids that are doing real well and still learning.
You know, Adam Bell is the cousin or related to Henry Bell at Alamo Heights.
Oh, yeah.
And Chase played with him.
Okay.
And he's about 6'5", about 250, right, Chase? He's huge.
Yeah, Adam's not 6'5". Adam's not 6'2", so that's all right. I'll take Adam all day long. He's a good boy.
People will ask, they ask me a lot. They say, Danny has a struggle down at Lee. We know why, because you don't have the same student body enrollment that other schools have. Have you ever thought about changing jobs?
No. Honestly, I came here. I knew what I was getting into. It was a challenge, and that's what I like. Obviously, it's 10th year as being a head coach, 28th year. Really, there's other opportunities that came up, and it's where I want to be right now. And not to say that it won't ever happen, because I think it will, but one day. But right now, I'm fine. I'm enjoying it. I love it. I got a great principal, and everything's going great.
John was a friend of mine back in the days when he was officiating. How much influence was your dad on you?
Huge influence. Growing up in a family, I was the youngest of 6, 3 brothers. Dad was a huge influence on me and my three brothers, and we did a lot together. You know, we played golf together. Obviously, Dad was a pretty good athlete growing up, brought us into the sports world, and taught us the right way to do things. And, you know, it's 35 years since he passed, so it's not a day go by I didn't think about him and the influence he had on me. And I hope he's looking down. I hope he's proud.
Well, I think Lee is very fortunate to have you as the head coach. And knowing you since you were a little guy,
Yes,
it's
sir.
been one of my pleasures to see you and the great coaching leadership that you have.
Well, I really appreciate it, and I remember going back to me being a little guy and you doing our games when I was in high school, and I remember an interview you did with me when I was in high school, and you know, we thank you for what you've done for high school football in the state of Texas and throughout San Antonio, and what you've meant to us. So thank you very much.
Danny Closa, the great coach of the Lee Volunteers. You're listening to Frost High School Football on
In
GDP
1984,
Sports.
high school students were dancing to the song Hey Mickey. That same year, Sherry Armstrong opened Mecca Sportswear to provide those students with quality leather jackets along with all district and all state patches. Well, now, 3 decades later, Sherry and her family are still providing custom leather jackets and award patches to South Texas' greatest student achievers. Call toll-free 844-HEY Mecca. Hey Mecca, 844-HEY-MECA.
Richard Oliver back at Alamo Stadium as we get ready for the Lee Brackenridge game, which will be kicking off here in just a little bit. Chase Holly will be back to be bringing you the play-by-play along with Gary DeLon. And again, I'm Richard Oliver. One of the things that's kind of a storyline of tonight's ball game is Brackenridge has been a team that's kind of been consistent over the years. They've made the playoffs most of the last decade, and they're a team that's got a load of upperclassmen this year, and they're going to give Lee, of course, a tough battle tonight. The nucleus of the team, of course, is its coaching staff. And, of course, Willie Hall, a familiar face, a familiar name as a player, as a coach in South Texas over the last several years. He is the head coach at Brackenridge. We had a time to catch up with 63-year-old Willie Hall before this ball game. Let's take a listen.
All right, 3, 2.
Willie Hall, a lot of guys would be happy just to sit at home, draw their pension, and watch football. My gosh, you're an inspiration to everybody over 49.
Well, that's a pleasure to hear you say that. I'm still trying to get to 49. More years.
Well, you've got 3 youngsters still at home, and you're going to watch them play some?
Absolutely. I've got my son's a freshman here at Brackenridge, so I got to see him play yesterday, pull off a big win yesterday.
Now, when you were at Bay City Middle School back in the 80s, you didn't lose in 3 sports all the time you were there, right?
Absolutely. I had some of the world's greatest athletes.
Hartley Dykes was one of them.
Hartley Dykes, LeBradford Smith, Joe DeLoach. Joe DeLoach won the Olympics. He beat Carl Lewis.
Right?
Yes. Yep.
So, at your age, can I say you're that old? So, so what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to go until you're 70?
No, absolutely not. As my son turns a junior in a couple of years, I'm going to step out and go to the stands and
watch him.
And watch him and try to enjoy
Texas.
You got that right. It is for me, too. I enjoy it. That's why I'm still here.
I go back into the days when Davenport was out at O'Connor. I remember that first year he was out there.
Yeah, well, you go back a long ways. I wasn't even in town.
I didn't know Pop Warner.
Me either.
Well, listen, Willie, I know you've got a great team. You've got some great speed. You're 1-0 coming off that win over Somerset. Did you play down there or here?
We played down at Somerset.
That's not easy to play Sonny's boys down there.
No, it's not. I think we got 27 infractions.
Wow. Well, listen, Danny Closa, they've lost 19 in a row. It's tough when a coach is trying to tell his team, win, win, win. 19 in a row is a lot of losses.
It is, but we can't concern ourselves with that. We just got to go out and play football the way we play, and the wins and losses will take care of themselves.
And what you do is you try to set these kids for the future, whether it's football or anything else.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's more to life.
Willie, you've had a good one. Keep it up.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Should I do my 61st? Are you going to be back on turf?
One more year.
I may go as long as you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to hang with you. I thought I was waiting to hear you were hanging them up.
Okay, Willie, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Willie Hall, the great coach of the Brackenridge Eagles. You're listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Sports. Let's look at the starting lineups first for the visiting Lee Volunteers. They will be kicking off because they deferred, as Chase just told us. So defensively, the Volunteers will put this lineup on the field. The J position, which is actually part of the five-man front, I guess, is Robert Munoz, 6'2", 183 senior. The defensive end left side, Jack Cochran, 6'2", 183 senior. Nose tackle, Kristen McCoy, 5'8", 215 junior. Tackle, the young man that Chase mentioned to you, Adam Bell, 6'2", 240. And he's a wrestling champion, Richard, so the kid can play football as well. Martavian Reese, 5'8", 215 junior, is defensive end on the right side. Evan Pledger, 5'10", 173 senior. And Josh Johnson, 6', 190 senior in the linebacking slots, along with Reese. Then you have free safety Eamon Raymond, 5'7", 145 senior. The strong safety Nathan Canales, 5'8", 172 senior. And the cornerback Enrique Davis, 5'9", 152 junior. On the left side, it's Abram Pruneda, 5'11", 158 senior. Now, this is your offensive unit for Coach Willie Hall, 63 years old, 25 years at Brackenridge. Took the top coaching job in 95 after being an assistant to Diz Reeves and Lyman Davis. Sons William, Wesley, and Wendy began coaching at Bay City Middle School. They never lost a game in 3 years in basketball, football, and track. How is that? My goodness, what a record. He coached Hartley Dykes with the NFL, gold medalist Joe DeLoche, TCU quarterback Tremaine Butler. He boxed until he was 26, as his dad was a boxing coach. Born in Roswell, New Mexico, attended Eastern New Mexico. Career record, 142-126. Last 10 years at 61-45. Playoffs, 11 of last 12 seasons. Here is the starting unit. Watch out. They've got some speed to burn. Michael Puente, 5'8", 160, out on the flank left, junior. You have Diego Conejo, 6'2", 230, junior, left tackle, left guard. Elijah Torres, 5'10", 260, junior. Center, Carlos Chavez, 5'10", 230, senior. My goodness, that's about 260-pound average in the first three. 200-pounder Josh Lara, 5'9", senior. Right guard, right tackle is Christian Enriquez, 5'10", 230, a senior. And the tight end is Jade Rios, 6 foot, 210-pound junior. Quarterback, he can go 5'4", 4'6", 6 foot, 160-pound junior Julian Cameron. 21 is Marvin Livingston, 5'8", 155, sophomore over at wide out left and halfback. Fullback for the other running back, A.J. Talamantes, 5'8", 176, senior. And on the right side, it will be Keith Griffin, 6 foot, 160, junior. And we should have an interesting ball game tonight.
You know what's interesting about this, Gary, when you look at this field and the games that this stadium has hosted over the years, just legendary moments and legendary teams and players. To have Lee and Brackenridge together tonight, you almost wish that maybe it will turn out to be the kind of showcase that we hope it'll be. But for Danny Close's sake, obviously a guy who, as you talked about, has had to kind of work his way through some challenges at Lee over the years, on and off the field. And, of course, then with Brackenridge and that kind of they're much more successful, but they're trying to break through a little bit farther in the postseason. So you kind of hope that tonight's a showcase because this is a wonderful showdown of two teams that mean so much to this area.
It is a showdown of the showcase. Referee is Joseph Wicker. Umpire is Raul Villafranca. Head linesman is Juan Munoz. Line judge Ed Garcia. Back judge is Matt Castillo. And I wanted to mention this to you, Richard. There was a story out of Dayton, Ohio yesterday. In last week's ball game, they were playing another school from across town, and the Dayton team were trailing like 25-7. Mm-hmm. And one of the players took off his helmet and ran over to the referee and headbutted him.
I saw that, yeah.
Where in the hell are we going?
Yeah.
Excuse the term.
Yeah, I don't. Those are the kind of moments where you kind of wonder. Obviously, you could point at a lot of different reasons for that, a lot of different motivations, but it's just the civil attitude of folks today is a lot different than it was even just a few years ago.
Oh my!
It's a very interesting time, Gary.
Not only would I have been kicked out of school, off the team,
my parents would have made sure that I didn't get any privileges for at least a year.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see what happens to that kid in the long haul, too.
In case you're wondering, you're seeing the backs of our heads, and just maybe the field, too, but the UIL has a rule that on a Friday night game, when you do something like this, on the internet and, the Facebook, you cannot show the play-by-play. You can on Thursday and Saturday.
Right.
So if we do it next week, we have Smithson Valley on Thursday nights. We'll be able to show you as the action takes place on the field. But we can just say, "Hi, partner,"
I thought it was really they just try to keep ugly faces off the air.
Yeah.
That's a big part
You're looking at me, and you said that, too.
I'm not looking at Chase. I'm not looking at Chase.
No, he's not looking at me.
No,
he's looking at you.
That's right.
I want to thank Charles Vickers for being here tonight, Rob Hicks for being our producer and engineer, and we have a very special guest in the studio with us here in the press box. Mary Schrader is a development director at San Antonio Academy, and for 10 years, the young man in the middle of us here, Chase Holly, had 10 years of great education under the John Webster tutelage when he was there. And Mary is here tonight as our special guest. And she gave me this. This is something that's going to be going on at the Academy. In 1911, Louis Jordan graduated from the Academy. He attended UT, and he became a celebrated football player up in Longhorn Land. There's even a statue in his honor at the UT Stadium today. And I didn't know that. I know there's one of Darrell Royal there. After graduating from UT, Lewis returned to San Antonio to teach and coach at the San Antonio Academy. Now, you're talking about now the turn of the century, friends. He became a commissioned officer in World War I, and he was the first officer from Texas killed in that conflict.
Wow.
And my father was in World War I. He was a sergeant. He didn't have any wounds from the war, thank goodness. But between 1914 and 1918, 66 Academy graduates were commissioned officers. That was phenomenal in those days.
Yep.
In 1919, in an effort to help raise young men with skills in leadership, teamwork, and preparedness for their entire life, Professor Colonel Bondurant created the military program at San Antonio Academy, and boy, has he left a legacy. 2019 marks the 100th anniversary of that program. What a tremendous effort for the San Antonio Academy, which is basically a very fine military-oriented school.
It definitely is. It's a great school to go to. It definitely gives you a strong character base. Going in at pre-K, you learn things that you normally wouldn't learn until you're maybe 20 or 22 years old. And that's just how the school is oriented.
And I bet you didn't know this. I just happened to see it as we were looking through some facts today. Born on this date in 1899. His name was Claire Chenault, the founder of the Flying Tigers. And he had as one of his great pilots a man named Tex Hill, who also attended the San Antonio Academy.
Tex Hill, I didn't know that Tex Hill went there. Wow, that's outstanding.
Tex was a very dear friend of mine. I made one serious mistake when I went over to his house one time. We looked at some film, and he offered to give me, now get this, I didn't take it. He said, "Gary, why don't you take this film of all of the warfare that we had with the Japanese?"
Wow.
Film!
And you said no?
I just didn't take it. I mean, I'm stupid. So
he's a radio guy.
Yeah, right. I'm a dumb
it didn't
TV
feel
guy.
right at the time, It just was.
But I mean, can you imagine? He offered me the film.
Wow.
So anyway,
wow. I feel bad. I've never offered you anything like that. Nothing of importance.
No, you asked me out for lunch, and I bought the burger. So
you didn't buy mine, though. That was the whole
we talked
idea.
about Danny Close, of course. He's been at Lee for 10 years. He's aging rapidly, but that's no problem. He graduated from Lee back in '61, and his parents were John and Margaret Close, tremendous parents. There were 6 kids in the family, and all Lee grads, by the way. Danny lettered in football under Roy Sawyer and basketball and golf at Lee. Now, did you know this fact? In 1967, Lee's first state championship team was the golf team, coached by Tom Mosley.
And now that golf team coached by a very good guy named Randy Mitchell, who was my son's golf coach back in middle school. Now time for the national anthem.
You know what I like? The cymbal clash. And a lot of bands don't play it anymore, and I love that. The Star Spangled Banner, the #1 song on the world's hit parade. Not too many people recognize that anymore, but it is, my friends, and don't you ever forget it. Famous graduates of Robert E. Lee: Tommy Kramer, Bruce Colley, actor Robert Chevries, actor James Scully, Chris Maru, Richard Middleton, Richard Osborne, Pat Rocket, Tremere Twins, Travis Lewis of OU, Richard Ojeda, Earl Kincaid, Gary Pastolis, former Rockets and Astros manager, and there's so many greats. And of course, over at Brackenridge, they were state track champion in 47, football champions in 42, again in 62, and probably, of all of those people I've mentioned, there's no doubt, I think this guy probably has more in the bank than any of them. His name was James Robert Cade. Graduated in 1945. You know what he did?
He invented Gatorade.
Yeah.
I know that, yeah.
Yeah. And then Robert Quinones, ABC. Weldon Humble, one of the great players at Rice University. Warren McVeigh. And Jim Harrison, running back NFL in 1967. So, boy, what an alumnus list.
And you mentioned John Closa, the father of Danny Closa, and I think you mentioned it in the open, a great referee here in town. And
one of the best. He was in Southwest Conference as well.
And
I knew John well.
There were several, and he did a lot of games here locally.
Yes.
Very, very close with a lot of the guys that you and I have dealt with over the years. Eddie Brott, of course, and some of the other.
Eddie Brott, who's the father of your son-in-law, by the way.
Indeed so. And so there's a lot of family connections in this town. And that's why it's wonderful, Gary, that every week we get to talk about high school football because you're one of those great connections to one of the common threads through a lot of those stories. And now we have the opportunity now to kind of put another little stitch in the story of the Lee Brackenridge rivalry happening tonight.
Yeah, you betcha. And Rodriguez will kick it away, and we've got some speed ready to return it. We got Marvin Livingston and Ruben Gomez. So ready to go, ladies and gentlemen, on our GDP Sports on Facebook. Shannon DeLon with Mason, and my other grandson is listening tonight up in Bernie. Here is to Gomez at the 2, 5, 10, 15. He gets outside to the 20, on his feet to the 22, 23, 25, and out of bounds. He goes out of bounds at the 25-yard line.
Had a seam there around that left side and took out the linesman on the left side there to get on his way out of bounds. Actually, one of the guys holding the yard marker. So that guy knows exactly where he went out of bounds. Shouldn't have any trouble spotting that one.
That's exactly right. He got kind of pounded into the ground right there.
This doesn't happen in soccer, Chase.
No, it doesn't. This doesn't happen in soccer normally.
You don't get people pounded into the ground quite like that.
Here's Julian Cameron. Trip set right, single set left. Takes the snap, and it's a fake handoff, and the intended pass was for Michael Puente, but it was incomplete.
Well, Reese was also there. Neither could get there. And but I'll tell you what. I'm sorry. You're right. Cameron has got 4.7, 4.6 speed. And watch out if he gets free.
He's a speedster. So it'll be double wide out set left. Tight end switching from right to left. Here's the snap by Cameron, and he hands it off, and there's nowhere to go, and he is brought down by number 15, Josh Johnson, for the
Volunteers, and there's just no place for Talamantes to go.
Lost a yard on that play, and you know that. And Gary, one of the things you all mentioned at the beginning of this is that Lee, if there's one place they are strong, they've got some beef up front.
They do, yeah. One of the few times they do.
They definitely look like they have a bigger team this year than last year.
Yeah, on both those first two plays, Adam Johnson, along with Martavius Reese, were both getting good penetration.
By the way, I want to thank Charles for being on the sideline again tonight. And
Charles, judging by that opening kickoff, keep your head up.
Yeah.
Like we
have the head referee walking over to our side of the field. Now he is
I think they called for the game or the stadium administrator.
Yeah, that coach. Little stall in the action, friends. A technical problem of some kind, and we're not sure.
Well, I think the clock should be moving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's stuck on 11:19.
Yeah, they called the stadium administrator over, and
Coach Clancy is in charge of things here. He provided us a great press box tonight.
It's a very comfortable press box with a good view of the open field.
By the way, they're going from my left to right, which is north to south. It's just south of Hildebrand Avenue, by the way. Giant scoreboard. That's one of the best scoreboards in the state.
one of the legendary things about this field, too, is just the gorgeous view of downtown. I mean, when you're elevated at all at Alamo Stadium, especially at night when things get a little darker, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous view. And what was interesting was, if you remember a few years ago, Gary, back when the Spurs were trying to get a United Soccer League team here, Gordon Hartman was getting the North American Soccer League team. They were kind of vying for who was going to get one first. Gordon Hartman got his great program going over there. It was very interesting that at the time the Spurs were hoping to not only get soccer here at Alamo Stadium, but to bring concerts in and to bring some other stuff.
No, they wanted to go to Austin.
Well, yeah, Major League Soccer did, yeah. But they wanted to have their team here, and they wanted to have them play right here. And it's interesting now, all these years later, the Spurs have their USL team. They play at Toyota Field. Tim Holt, who was then president of the USL, is now the head of soccer operations.
Oh, that's
for
great.
The Spurs. So,
another legendary thing about this field is if you get a long telescope and you set it up about to my left, you can see my house from here.
That's right.
You might have to look through the trees and the brush, but I think you could see it from here.
Purple jerseys are worn by Brackenridge tonight. They have gold and white trim. Lee in the white traveling uniforms with the red and black stripes and the blue helmets. White helmets by the Eagles.
So the head referee back on the field now. Gary, something was going on. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion happening. He's going to head over to Willie Hall and talk to him over on the Brackenridge sideline.
I speculate there's a problem with the official clock that we're seeing on the score.
By the way, this is our second game of the season so far. Next Thursday, Smithson Valley will be at Madison at Hero Stadium. And then we'll have Friday night, Laredo Alexander at Roosevelt at Comalander.
Well, you've got some great games this year, Gary. Great showdowns.
Thanks to Pat Frost and Frost Bank, too, as well as our other sponsors. We'll tell you about those as we go on tonight. DCFS, and they're back with us. And, of course, we're so glad to have Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union, Shannon DeLon's APIA Connected Investors, Gridiron Heroes, Dr. Eric Kuhl, Thomas J. Henry Law Firm.
So he went over and talked to Willie Hall on the Brackenridge sideline. Now heading back over to the Lee sideline. This may be, to Chase's point, this may be a problem with the clock, Gary. They may just be notifying him, hey, we've got some problems. We're going to be keeping the time on the field. Something along those lines.
Idea. Yeah. Lester Insure One is also with us this year. And we're very pleased to have those people support high school football. Now we've got an official timeout, apparently, as Danny's calling the team over. And now Willie's done the same. Let's take a timeout because we don't know for sure what's going on. And I don't admit that very often. You're listening to Frost High School Football.
In 2017, more than 4,700 people were killed in crashes involving large trucks in the U.S. Semi-trucks, which weigh 20 to 30 times as much as passenger cars, can cause severe injuries in the event of a wreck. If you were injured in an 18-wheeler accident, call Thomas J. Henry. Thomas J. Henry handles serious trucking cases and gets serious results for injured clients. Start your free claim today at tjhlaw.com/radio. That's tjhlaw.com/radio.
San Antonio, Texas.
Every San Antonio family has a dream to live in their own castle. There's one San Antonio real estate expert who can fulfill that dream, and he has provided many wonderful kingdoms for hundreds of home buyers in South Texas. Chris Collins of RE/MAX Preferred has been the realtor selected by families that want to make that dream a reality. He'll provide the expertise and confidence to purchase the home that's your address for future happiness. Call Chris at RE/MAX Preferred 210-213-2432. You don't have to be a frequent flyer to know the best rent car location in San Antonio. Budget Rent Car is a locally owned company that provides a fleet of new automobiles and a staff of professionals who have served the thousands of travelers who want quick access to the airport, reasonable prices, and available quality vehicles. That's one name that stands out in the San Antonio rental business. Budget Car and Truck Rental on Sandow Road, just east of 281 North. Phone 210-824-0737. Budget Car San Antonio.
We expect a lot from the teams we give our loyalty to. We expect them to play through the pain, leave it on the field, and give 110%, even though that's impossible. Yet when it comes to the banks we give our money to, we expect less than we do of the backup punter. At Frost, we want to change the way you think about banks entirely by never stopping when it comes to giving you our very best. And if you need to armchair quarterback us sometime, go for it. It'll only make us better. See what you can expect at frostbank.com/expect more.
We're back at Alamo Stadium with the Brackenridge Eagles and the Lee Volunteers as we're fixing to resume play. Here's trip set right, single set left. Here's Julian Cameron. He fakes handoffs and he's throwing to a man, and he's got a man being heavily covered, and it's a flag on the play.
Yeah, Eamon Raymond came up and hit the intended receiver right about the 47-yard line.
Talamante's the intended receiver.
Yeah. Not a great throw, but, Gary, that's one of those times at Chase when, a quarterback throws a ball up in the air like that, and then the defender, it gives time for that play, for that collision to take place. So
well, a defensive back is naturally going to go try to stop the pass play.
Right.
And it's just a matter of being able to hold off at the time when you hit the guy.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those throw the ball up in the air and pray.
First down of the ball game by penalty.
And that's a penalty on the Lee Volunteers. So the whistle blows, and we will have a single receiver on the right and a single on the left. And on the left is Puente, and on the right is Traden Wide. And here Julian Cameron handing it off to Talamantes, and he is up and down at the
lost
ball.
The ball.
They're sitting right at the 49-yard line.
Brackenridge apparently recovered it.
About a 6-yard gain for Talamantes.
That could have been a turnover for the Brackenridge Eagles.
Conejo, Torres, Chavez, Lara, and Enriquez, your down group.
So now it'll be 2nd and 2 with the single receiver on both sides, isolated all by themselves. Now Puente is on closest side to me. Here's Julian Cameron. He takes the snap, hands it off to Talamantes. Talamantes is looking for space, and he gains a couple yards.
Can be enough for a first down.
And that'll be a first down.
That's numero dos.
Dos.
The official problem is with the headsets for both teams not communicating. Coach Hall expressed his displeasure, but nothing that he hasn't experienced, I'm sure, in his long tenure at coaching.
He's probably had this happen a few times. Have to do it the old-fashioned way. Lee and Brackenridge at 63 didn't have headsets.
No, you're right. They didn't.
So it'll be 1st and 10, same formation.
And shotgun.
Here's Julian Cameron. Takes the snap and hands it off to...
There's a flag down. I think that might be a face mask.
That is a new player in the mix.
Yeah, that was Carlos Hernandez.
That was a late penalty.
5'7", 140.
Exactly right, Richard. Face mask.
27 penalties called against Brackenridge last week down in Somerset.
That is just something that you can't have happen. But then again, was that the first game that they played?
Yes.
Then it's destined that you make mistakes in the first game that you won't in the second game.
Well, Lee already 2 penalties now, 30 yards given up on this opening drive by Brackenridge just on penalties alone. And if you're Danny Closa, this is a discipline situation.
Oh, my. They're already 3 first downs now, 2 on penalties.
So it'll be same formation. Julian Cameron in the shotgun as the tight end switches from left to right. Here's the snap, and he hands it off to Talamantes, and Talamantes is going out wide looking for space, and there's a flag on the play.
I think we have a hold in the backfield there. This one might be going against Brackenridge.
And that might be, I'm not going to say for sure, that might be on the big guy. And
block in the back.
Yeah, he's huge.
I see a lot of big guys down there.
Yeah,
I do too.
He weighs about 256.
He's a big boy.
Yeah. And his name is Julian Estrada.
Yep.
He's 5'5", 230. Jerry Cumlett would call him a squatty body.
Yeah.
Squatty body.
So it takes him back to the 39-yard line on that penalty.
We've played less than 4 minutes. We've had 4 penalties so far.
So that'll make it 1st and 20.
And they have the digital yard markers, too. I like that.
Double wide out set right with the single set on the left. Here's Julian Cameron, and he fakes the handoff and almost completed a pass to number 26, and that is Jade Rios.
He bobbled it and couldn't hang on to it, and he was hit just as he tried to bring it into his chest.
So that'll make it 2nd and 20 with 8 minutes, 58 seconds left in the first quarter. Some Lee Volunteers switching up on the sidelines, coming in, coming out.
18 yards in the far side of the field, going to our south.
Double wide out set left. Tight end switching from right to left. That's Jade Rios. Here's the snap, and he hands it off to Talamontes, and Talamontes bangs it up the middle. Looking for some more space. He's still driving his legs.
Woo. Oh, my goodness.
And he picked up an extra 10 yards from the original spot that he was at, which makes up for that penalty.
30-pound Carlos Chavez, and then you had 220-pound Joseph Latta.
It helps when you have that big offensive line to push the hole through for you.
Big play here, 3rd and long still after that big gain on the 29, 3rd and 10.
Double wide out set both sides. Here's Julian Cameron. Dropping back to pass. He's looking for a man open. He's got a man. He caught it, and it's a first down. Making that catch was Jade Rios. So again, that's the tight end for the Brackenridge Eagles.
Great stop, though, because he had some daylight, but just in time.
15-yard gain. First completed pass for Cameron.
Yep.
So that'll make it 1st and 10.
4th first down of this drive for Brackenridge.
Raymond made the stop.
And that was a big play on 3rd and 10. You really want to come away with points here. They might have been a little bit outside field goal range had they not had the big gain there.
It's at the 15.
Here's Julian Cameron throwing it out to Talamontes. And Talamontes still driving his legs and he's still driving, and he's finally down.
Oh, my.
Oh, a 9-yard
That might
gain.
be almost a first down. Talamontes has really got that leg power.
He really does.
It's impressive.
I say it is. What is that, their 5th first down already?
That's a 2nd down, actually. They gave him 9 yards on that one, Gary.
Here's Julian Cameron takes a snap, and he hands it off, and it's into the end zone. And making that run was Justin Cabrera, putting it in to make the score 6-0. With the PAT awaiting.
Well, it took them a very short time to go, thanks to 4 penalties during the drive, 3 against Brackenridge, 1 against Lee.
So we'll see if Ruben Gomez can put it through the uprights to make it 7-0. And here's the snap and the kick. And it's a low kick, but it's up
and good.
To make it 7-0. Brackenridge Eagles lead over the Lee Volunteers. You are listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Facebook Sports.
Dr. Eric Kuhl played high school football, and he knows the importance of keeping your body in good condition to maintain perfect health. He also realizes that a portion of that health is maintaining dental hygiene. In today's society, your teeth are as important as eyes and ears. Gum disease can lead to other physical problems, and Dr. Eric Kuhl can advise, counsel, and demonstrate the best methods of dental maintenance. The office accepts most dental insurance policies, and you'll find a new friend, compassionate doctor as well. Call Dr. Eric Kuhl for an appointment at 210-496-1711 on 281. And don't forget, it's cool to have a great smile.
We're back. A great drive, and I'm doing the arithmetic on that. 61-yard drive for Brackenridge takes it all the way down. 7:12 to go, 7-0, an 11-yard run by Cabrera. And on that drive, Cameron with a very big third down pass that kind of set up that score. And, Chase, when you look at what Brackenridge was able to do there, despite the fact that they had a costly 10-yard penalty, Lee, on its side, had 2 penalties for 30 yards, really helped the cause as far as Brackenridge's drive there. But you notice what you guys talked about before the game about wearing down Lee, just the idea of that. We kind of got a dose of that there. That Brackenridge offensive line really started pushing and making their presence known in that drive.
Roberto Delgado and Jeremiah Shelton are deep at the 7 as they trail 7-0 now. Gomez will kick it away. The boot. It will go short at the 15, 16, 20, 25. Tries to turn inside and getting up a few more yards as he tried to go outside was Robert Delgado. 1st and 10.
Yeah, that Brack drive, 10 plays, 61 yards. So they kind of bled the clock a little bit, went down almost 5 minutes on the clock. Played a little power football, and I thought that was very interesting how Telemontes absolutely just legged his way to some gains in that one.
Yeah, and he had about 800 pounds pushing him, too.
He sure did, and he had some things happening there. So it'd be interesting to see how that Lee defense holds up.
Seabolt will be at quarterback for the Volunteers, and he'll go into the power I. Waits a snap, and he's wearing his red shoes, and he throws it down in the flat. It's caught, and it is to the sophomore wide receiver, and that's Robert Delgado. But he can fly. He is 5'8", 147. He's a senior, so that's a good gain of some 9 yards. 2nd and 1. We'll go down to Charles after this next play. Going from my right to left, there is no wind to speak of tonight, but plenty of hot temperatures. Reyna, Aranjan, Goss Delagon, Romero, and Valenciano. That's your down offensive line. Center is Goss DeLeon. Defensively, you've got Naranjo, Fennell, Stevens, Arevalo, and Wise, your down group. Villegas, Lopez, Talamantes, Puente, Cabrera, and Puneda. 2nd down and maybe 1.5 at the 35. Here's the outside handoff. And he gets it. No, he didn't. He missed it. He gets a yard. He needed about 2.5. And he just couldn't get there in time. That was Tellisford. So it'll be 2nd down. And did he lose a yard?
No, I gave him. I've got no gain.
No gain.
No gain.
Ball's at the 36. The Lee Volunteers in their
This is actually pretty big 3rd down here for Lee because obviously deep in their territory a little bit, but just the fact that you want to make something happen here, not give the ball right back to Brackenridge.
Zavala is in motion, left to right, and there's a whistle. Timeout. I think time was running out on the Volunteers, so Danicos says let's take a timeout and talk about it. So we're showing on the clock. Timeout with 5:18 to play, or 5:46 here in the first period from beautiful Alamo Stadium. We'll be back. You're listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Sports.
Some people know me by Smitty. Most people call me Mr. Smith. One day I went to Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. Ever since that day, I developed a relationship with Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union that was second to none. I like RBFCU because they create a stress-free environment. It's all about relationships.
Better banking. It's what we do at RBFCU. Join today at rbfcu.org. Membership eligibility required. Written terms subject to change.
Third and 2. And here's the keep. And first, he didn't get it.
Quarterback keep, and they got him great penetration. They stopped him.
He ran into his own lineman.
Morris Stevens only weighs 280. 6'4" senior. big number 75. You know, he could stop an 18-wheeler. Fourth and still no gain.
And Gary, you know, that was a great play, actually. You know, it was a great fake.
It looked like he was going to get it.
Fake to Telesfaro. You thought maybe he was going to take it around the side, which is what they've been trying to do, and thought you might get a couple of yards out of that, but they got nothing.
Yeah.
So Brackenridge did not allow a yard rushing in that drive.
Daniel Rodriguez to kick. And he gets a foot into it from the 25. And it's in the nighttime sky, bounces against the clouds, and will roll dead at the 20. That's a great kick.
Sure is. Got a great roll on that one.
That's going to be about 42 yards on the boot. First and 10 for the Brackenridge Eagles of Coach Willie Hall, who played at Eastern New Mexico and was a boxer. You know what? I wouldn't want him to give me a right hook.
Boy, you're telling me.
Me either. I would be scared for my life.
That guy's motivation at his age to be in the shape he's in.
First and 10 at the 20.
It's almost DeLon-esque.
DeLon-esque?
DeLon-esque. My thought.
Well, here's Chase Oskey here.
Chase Oskey? Oh, that's a good nickname. Where'd you come up with that one, Gary DeLon?
Chase Oskey.
Somewhere in the dressing room, I think.
In the dressing room? That's no bueno. So it'll be the Brackenridge Eagles ball, first and 10, starting at the 20-yard line.
They lead 7-0.
Got a single receiver on both sides. Here's Julian Cameron handing it off to Puente, and Puente's looking for space, but he has no room. And that'll be a gain of 2 yards. And taking him down was big Adam Bell, who is related somewhat to Henry Bell, who plays for the Alamo Heights Eagles.
Who's playing tonight?
Who's playing tonight?
Crosstown.
Who's playing against Laredo?
Well, that was a great stop. So it's second down and about 9.
And it'll be Julian Cameron.
Boy, talk about a power eye.
Takes the snap, hands it off to Talamonte, and Talamonte's looking for space. He's got some of it with that big line pushing forward. And that was Jason DeLeon, for the most part, pushing and blocking and trying to push that D line back. So it'll be 3rd and 4.
5 rushes, 22 yards.
Making the stop was Martavian Reese.
5 rushes, 22 yards for Telemontes so far. So he's having to work for what he's got, but he's doing a great job so far.
And the Brackenridge Eagles don't seem to be in any hurry. They're kind of running down that clock and playing that power football. Here's Julian Cameron dropping back to pass. He's got a man open, and he's caught it, and he's still driving and has the first down and more.
Pickup of about 7.
Keith Griffin with the reception on that play.
Yeah, and hanging on for dear life, he couldn't bring him down, was Josh Johnson over there. So that's another first down. What's that, 6?
6 first downs for the Brackenridge Eagles. Or 7.
Yep.
On the drive again.
So it'll be a double wide out with the Talamonte in motion. Coming to the left, and it's a reverse. And it is pitched to number 6. And he is still running, still on his feet, missing tackles. And he's finally down.
Oh, my.
That's a 9-yard gain, but I think he ran about a total of 30 yards on that play as he zigged and zagged and zigged.
Boy, he displayed more moves than El Toro in a Waters bull ring.
Yeah, there's a flag down as well. Holding is going to be cost Brackenridge, so that'll be our 4th penalty of this game so far.
That is just something that you can't be doing in the second game of the season.
2:54 to go. 7-0 was the score.
Willie Hall did say that they had 27 infractions last game.
That's almost unbelievable, isn't it?
Which is almost unbelievable.
I said that already.
Well, I say it better. Double wide out, set right. Single receiver on the left, or actually double wide out. Here's Talamonte in motion as he flips the same play. It's the same exact play as a flip, and he's up to the 35, getting more room, and finally down at the 39-yard line.
He picks up 15 yards. My goodness.
Running that ball with speed is Carlo
Camargo. 2 carries, 23 yards for Camargo already.
Making the stop was Jack Cochran. So it'll be the same formation as last play with the double wide out bunch crunch on the right with Talamonte in motion once again. And now he throws the ball, and he's got a man open, and it is caught, and he almost got free from the defender, and that was number
29
Enrique Davis covering him, but that was Keith Griffin with the reception.
29-yard gain.
29-yard gain.
My goodness. They're having their will at the line of scrimmage.
So 8 first downs for Brackenridge.
It'll be a double wideout set right with Talamonte in motion once again with the handoff, and here's the flag.
Could have been illegal procedure. I think he moved too soon. What did I say? He moved too soon.
You're all over this.
You're just too smart, Gary DeLon.
Well,
I think the heat makes you smarter.
Happy birthday today. You can be a redneck if you eat cold soup. Jeff Foxworthy, born in 1958 on this date.
He ate cold soup.
We'll go down to Charles Vickers in a minute.
So it'll be double wideout set both sides. Game. Here's Talamonte coming in motion. Julian Cameron rolling back and
he got
play action pass, and it goes into the middle of space.
Boy, that was dangerous, though. Let's see. I think putting the rush on him on that was number 50. Let's go down. That was Kristen McCoy. He was the real thing. Let's go down to Charles Vickers. Charles, can you hear me?
I hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Not very long.
Huh. We're hitting a dead spot, yeah. We'll get a dead spot down.
So that incompletion snapped a streak of 4 consecutive completions.
Julian Cameron puts Talamonte in motion. It's a handoff.
Oh, what a great
Hernandez,
defensive
and that was a
blitz.
Great stop.
Oh, a great read by guess who?
Adam Bell.
He rang the bell on that one.
And Hernandez got the handoff that time.
My goodness, that was a brilliant defensive play.
Adam Bell plays the same position as Henry Bell, actually, in terms of right now. Henry Bell rotates off of defensive end and tackle. So now it'll be third.
They gave him a loss of 1, so third and 16.
Yeah. Or 16. Here's Julian Cameron dropping back to pass, looking for a man open. He's got a man. That's Hernandez. He's caught it. He's up to the 45 and tackled out of bounds by Iman Raymond.
It's going to be 4th down and still 11. But the ball's at the Volunteer 35-yard line. So big play for the Vols D. Wow, it is ever.
6 of 8 passing for 65 yards for Cameron.
And at the moment, they look like they're going for it. It's a bunk crunch on the left, and he's looking for a man open, and he's got a man. He's caught it.
He's not going to get.
But he's not going to get the first down.
Telemontes, that might be the last play of the first.
Yeah, and give the guy who made he smelled it all the way, I think, and it was Evan Pludger. And he stopped him short of the first down. So at last the Volunteers have made a defensive stand. We'll be back. You're listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Sports.
Play the real estate investment game smarter by putting APIA on your team. They are the secret weapon for investors who own 5 or more rental properties. Their custom-built insurance policy allows investors to place their entire real estate portfolio under one policy with one renewal date. Real estate investors win by saving time and improving their cash flow. Call in the experts today. www.apiaprotects.com or call 877-752-2742.
Well, here was the toss back on a pitch out, and it was a gain of some 30 yards, but they're bringing it back. And
Telesforo around that right side, and he had a very nice gain, but now they're going to bring it all the way back. The flag was down at the 40-yard line, so they're going to count off.
What a tough break.
10 yards back to the 29.
Yeah, that was a first down with long yardage of about 22 yards, and so
basically takes it right back to the line of scrimmage.
1st and 20, and it was 1st and 10. So it'll be all over again.
Yeah, they got the markers in the wrong spot there.
I think they do. Should be 1st and 20.
Yeah.
Man in motion.
Another flag.
And another flag. crosses the 35, and that's the young sophomore.
And that's the end of the first quarter, but let's see what this flag is first.
Robert Delgado had a block, but flag flies, and we'll see. Let's go down to Charles, and we'll take a break.
More time. Just there you go. Just for a second. It looks like offsides. They let him play it out.
It was a 7-yard gain, obviously going to be erased by the penalty.
Yeah, they're talking about.
This is like hay fever season. Nothing but handkerchiefs flying around here. My goodness.
It was the same way down in Somerset.
Only this was against Lee.
Yeah, so it goes back to they will actually play another play in the first quarter.
Yeah, they extend the first quarter now because of that flag.
And it's actually 1st and 11, according where the marker.
Yeah, the holding penalty was a spot foul.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, so they actually gained a yard.
Now they move it back, so it's going to be.
See, they marched off 10 yards there.
Apparently, if I thought I had it there for a minute.
Charles, what was that? I mean, I thought they said illegal motion, but a 10-yard mark off.
It was.
Sorry.
5 yards. The line of scrimmage. 5 yards.
Sorry about the technical problems, but that's called electronic journalism. So we're ready to go.
4 penalties for 45 yards for Lee so far.
Here's the keep. And, oh, my goodness, no place to go because on the blitz, it was Stevens. Morris Stevens really got to quarterback William Siebel.
Yeah, he turned it over.
And he fumbled the ball. And that will be another jinxed play for the Lee Volunteers. I mean, they just can't seem to do anything.
And that's the end of the quarter.
That's the end of the first quarter, and it's 7-0 with the Brackenridge Eagles having the golden opportunity. We'll be back. You're listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Sports.
In 2017 alone, 2.8 million U.S. workers were injured on the job. Construction, transportation, manufacturing, oil and gas, and agriculture were among the most dangerous industries for workplace accidents. If you were injured in a workplace accident, call Thomas J. Henry. Thomas J. Henry handles serious workplace accident cases and gets serious results for injured clients. Start your free claim today at tjhlaw.com/radio. That's tjhlaw.com/radio.
San Antonio, Texas.
Welcome back to Alamo Stadium, guys.
Second quarter begins, 7-0, and my goodness.
That was a big turnover for Lee. They really had a chance to, again.
Yeah, they did. And we're looking pretty good when they did it.
Yeah, it's kind of a there.
That's a tough break for the Volunteers, but that's just some of the mistakes that you make, and I've definitely seen a big improvement from what Coach Closes had last year compared to this year. At least the team looks a little bit better than it did last year, and they're making improvements as the years go on.
It's a 5-man front now.
Lee has 17 yards of offense in that first quarter.
Here's Julian Cameron dropping back to pass. He's looking for an open receiver. He's got a man and is caught, and he is down at the 5. Making that stop was Amon Raymond, and picking up that beautiful reception was Carlos Hernandez.
Yeah.
That was a gain of 20 for Carlos Hernandez.
He's 5'8", 160-pound junior.
He's got some speedy wheels, too.
So that sets up another 1st and goal.
So now it'll be Hernandez and Talamonte going out in a bunch crunch formation on the right. Here's Talamonte in motion.
Too.
Julian Cameron pitching it with that little reverse play again. He's looking for space, and he's got space, and he's into the end zone. Again, that was Carlos Camargo.
Yeah, Camargo had plenty of room. He's only a sophomore.
We used to run that play all the time at the academy because, well, Coach Heineman got it from Sonny, too.
Well, that made it 13-0 here in the first half, second quarter.
And we'll see if Ruben Gomez can put it through the uprights to make it 14-0. Here's the snap and the kick, and it is a low kick once again.
He's
but
having trouble
it is
getting
good.
any height on the kick at all.
He is. It's a really flat ball.
You're a kicker, so what's he doing? Not getting a good follow through, or what?
He's not getting a good follow through, and he's also punching the ball instead of following through with that leg, trying to push that ball upwards instead of forwards. It's more of a soccer kick when you're trying to kick it into a goal instead of trying to kick it high through the uprights.
That's very, very astute point. I'll take your word for it.
So the Lee turnover cost them, of course,
Sure
there.
did.
2 plays, 20 yards for the touchdown.
Yep.
So not a whole lot to talk about on that drive. 9 first downs now, 10 first downs, I should say, for Brackenridge already in this game. And notable that Cameron, 8 of 10 passing for 89 yards. Set up that score with the nice 20-yard completion.
Charles, your assessment.
I don't think we still have his mic.
I don't know why there's such a dead spot in this stadium in a wide open space like this.
I blame Charles. I think
Anyway.
it can't be the equipment. It's got to be Charles.
I think he's operating the equipment well. I hope he is.
Well, here is the kickoff upcoming. It was on this date in 1620 that the Mayflower departed Plymouth, England, for the New World. 102 pilgrims and 30 crewmen.
I first learned that in the first grade when I got into the Thanksgiving recital and presented it in front of the grandparents.
Yeah, you made a nice Indian.
I did. So here's the kick in the boot, and it's by Gomez, and it's a little pooch kick down to about the 23-yard line, and it is picked up, and he has nowhere to go as 5 Brackenridge Eagles close in on him. And making the reception was Daniel Rodriguez.
So Lee had 6 snaps in that first quarter, only was able to muster about 16 yards of offense.
And a lot of mistakes.
And Lee's had 1 first down in this ball game. So obviously get something going on offense here. It's going to be a long night.
I believe that was a penalty, too.
Yeah.
And first, you would have to start out by cutting out the penalties that you are constantly getting so that you don't keep shooting yourself in the foot and that you can move forward in the chain link.
So now Lee in its white attire on the road, 18 yards up the far side, going from my left to right, and here's another whistle.
Flag. This may be too much
violation.
time.
My.
That's 5 penalties for 50 yards against Lee. Giving up half a football field already, and we're just early in the second quarter.
I'm Gary DeLon, along with Chase Holly, Richard Oliver, our esteemed colleague, Charles Vickers on the sideline when the signal is available, and the Reverend Rob Hicks. That's our crew. Here's the handoff, maybe a 3-yard pickup, and not much room there. It was that young, speedy freshman again, rather sophomore, Robert Delgado. It was a wide receiver pitchback.
They gave him no gain on the scoreboard, Gary.
William Seabolt, 5'10", 164-pound senior. He has good speed, but he has had no daylight. Another penalty, they say. And,
yeah, something illegal substitution or something on the defense. But no march off, so must have misheard.
Man.
I clearly heard defense.
I clearly heard defense, too.
Well, they're in the full house backfield and shotgun. Here's the handoff coming outside. No place to go.
That was close to a horse collar.
It sure was. I thought the same thing, and that was Tellisford Ty. 5'11", 153-pounder. No place to go.
Lee's trying to get a hole, trying to get that offensive line to open up those holes for him so that Teleford can run straight through and hopefully get a first down.
6-yard gain is the longest of the night for Lee on offense.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make that a little bit better if they want to improve their chain link game.
Tellisford is a junior. Now here's a nice pass downfield. That is
Made it, got it.
47-yard line, slides up to the 48. Great catch. And
Shelton. 17-yard gain, obviously, at that point.
He's 6'1", 155, a splendid sprinter. That's the second first down, I believe, of the night. 14-0, 10:50 to go here in the second period from historic Alamo Stadium, the Old Rock Yard. Double wide outset each side. Here's another pass out on the flank, and it's
dropped.
Incomplete. Right in the old bread basket, and he didn't have enough dough to hang on to it. Intended for Jarrett Zavala, 6 foot 180-pound junior. See if we can pick up Charles with our new location of a microphone.
So, we need to point out, too, on that as Lee starts to open up its offense again. Danny Closa, a great offensive coordinator back in the day when he was at Reagan and MacArthur. He knows a little something about.
Oh, nice counter and a good handoff and crossing into Eagle territory. He goes to the Eagle's nest. And good carry by Tellisford again. It was a counter, a fake to the first running back, and Tellisford took it on the second play through, and it's third down and still about 7 at the 48-yard line in Eagle territory.
3 carries, 10 yards for Tellisford so far.
Delgado
not getting a whole lot of action.
Goes left. You have double wide outset to the right, going from my left to right on this artificial turf at Alamo Stadium. Back to pass Seabolt. Rolls, throws. It is long. And
that's a flag. Boy, he got taken down at the.
That should be a penalty.
Taken down at the 12-yard line. That'll be a 15-yard penalty against Brackenridge.
Yeah, he had daylight. And it was intended for Shelton again.
So we've had 90 yards of penalties in the first half so far by both teams.
That's tough. By the way, 1916 was a birth date of note. Piggly Wiggly was open for the first time.
Wow. I haven't thought about that place in
Piggly Wiggly.
Forever.
Yeah. I didn't know Piggly Wiggly was a thing until my dad told me about Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember we used to say Piggy Wiggy, when you played with the kids' toes.
I'm not sure what the discussion is here.
That was
clearly an interference down at the 12-yard line.
I'm not sure that Charles could tell us about it either because we have a dead spot. I think what happened was the signal goes to the quarry first and it just doesn't get over here. That's an interesting call.
That's a very interesting call. I've never heard that.
Well, he was forced out of bounds. He was actually pushed out of bounds, came back in, and was interfered with on the attempted reception, and that will be another first down, I think. Yeah. They say it's first down.
So, in other words, that was a double pass interference.
Well, no, it was a double penalty on one call. Pushed him out of bounds, and then the interference on the pass reception. So it's first down, and how many is that now? For Lee, 3?
That is 3.
Left to right. Here's the fake, and Seabolt gets 2 yards down to the 30. And let's see, the first guy to get in there, but he got a piece of the action, was John Reyna, 6'1", 265.
That was a gain of 3, so it would be 2nd and 7.
Seabolt out on the flank, caught, and little flare pass out on the flank, and he gets
Zavala
3 or 4 yards. That's about it. Making a stop in the secondary as he came up from his defensive end position, Keith Furnell. So it's third down and still 3.5.
Big play here for Lee. They have a chance to get back into this ball game.
I was going to say, put him back in the game. They're getting the call from Danny Closa. It was great to see a lot of the associate coaches for the Volunteers, especially Gervis Adams, before the game. Double set left. Seabolt rolls to his right. He throws downfield. He's got a man, but did he hang on?
They say he caught it. What a beautiful catch at the 16-yard line by Delgado.
He's only a sophomore, but he's got some great hands. So that's a great gain. And he was able to wing his way into the secondary.
Third catch for Delgado in this ball game. First down for Lee.
You've got 8:30 to go in the quarter. It's 14-0, Brackenridge. The Eagles have flown out of the nest.
And Gary, just quietly, Seabolt has put together a nice passing game. 6 of 7 passing for 49 yards in this ball game.
Now it's in the shotgun. Back. He has time. He throws it into the end zone. Incomplete. Overthrown. Delgado, the intended receiver again.
Thank goodness he overthrew that, because great coverage by Brackenridge in the end zone, back left corner.
Yeah, and he didn't have much chance to get there, so it's incomplete.
Seabolt has got a great arm with
He
a
really
great
does.
spiral.
It was a wonderful spiral, yeah.
Defending back there was Livingston. So it will be, boy, I like that big dose on the electronic yard marker. That's great.
Helps out.
Helps out a lot.
Now again it's in the shotgun. And the fake, the handoff. 20. 17, and a great surge, getting blocked on the right side. And it was Tellisford carrying the ball. Romero, Valenciana, and Goss De Leon all made great blocks on the play.
4-yard gain.
Third and 6
now. You have the 12. Another big play for Lee here. You really want to come away with a touchdown.
7:45 to play. 14-0 Brack. You know, this seems like an unseasonable type season for football. I mean, it's just so hot.
It is hot.
Lee will take a timeout to talk about it, as they want to go in for 6. I'm Gary DeLon, along with our crew, Richard Oliver, Chase Holly, Charles Vickers, and Rob Hicks. We'll be back. You're listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Sports.
Whenever a young driver leaves for school, a game, or drives to the mall, parents want a peace of mind knowing where their youngster is located any time of day or night and when they'll be returning home. GPS of Texas provides that parental peace of mind with the high-tech tracking technology provided by Blake Stevens Company that can trace a vehicle from coast to coast and even to Alaska and Hawaii. A feeling of security and safety when GPS of Texas installs that device. Call Blake at 210-587-7634.
We're back at Alamo Stadium with the Brackenridge Eagles and the Lee Volunteers. Brackenridge is up 14-0 as Lee comes back onto the field after their offensive huddle talk. So it'll be a double wideout set to the left with Seabolt, Tellisford right behind him. Here's the snap. As Seabolt rolls to his left, he's got a man open.
Oh, great play by
great defensive tip. And I think that was
number 84. And he did it
just
again.
Just 80. That's Puente.
Michael Puente again, who's made a couple of great plays in this ball game. Boy, he showed great closing speed there, Chase, to get up there and tip that ball, because there was, for a moment,
they're going to go for 3.
And that shows that not only can he play offense, but he can also play defense.
So Rodriguez in for the field goal attempt from about 29 yards.
They're going to have to hurry to get this kick away.
Yeah, this might be timeout territory.
So they'll have to take a timeout. About to lose another 5 if they don't. Yep. You know, your special unit's got to be ready to go. I mean, they know that they're going to have a chance. They got to be ready to go.
100%. That was what I was always told. If you are supposed to be on the field, you better be on the field. If you're not on the field, you're going to be sitting the bench.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel Rodriguez is going to try a field goal. And very alertly, they called a timeout. So we'll keep it right here. We are having frequency problems. In case you're wondering why we say, well, here's Charles. It's called frequency, and it's called electronic devices, which are so erratic. They're like a Hollywood marriage. You never know they're going to work.
You sounded like a scientist there for a minute. You were talking about frequency. I'm proud of you.
Well, It's frequency when I go to the restroom.
So they're spotting the ball at the 20-yard line. So it'll be a 30-yard attempt here with 7:22 to go in the second quarter.
So it'll be Rodriguez waiting.
Important man holding the ball. Timothy Martinez.
Snap and the kick, and it is low.
Oh, did he get through?
I think he barely got it through.
Got it through. That was a 3-iron.
My goodness.
Punched the 3-iron against the wind. Kicked
That's exactly what I was thinking, a 3-iron.
That looked like a Tommy Bolt throw of the club there. My goodness.
That looks like one of the shots that I take when I'm under the tree and I got to punch it out under the tree.
Yeah, that was one of the more amazing field goals I've seen in a while.
Well, we'll keep it right here because that makes it a 14-3 game. An interesting drive, though, for the Volunteers. They did have a little bit of impetus there, and they did look a lot better offensively. So 14-3, 7:18 to play here.
But sometimes that's what you need, Gary. It's just something to kind of open not the floodgates, but at least, okay, it's still some confidence. We inflicted an injury, drew a little bit of blood, so try to see what we can do now with that. And now it's up for Lee to play a little defense.
Well, let me tell you something. It was a big day for me when I met this lady. 1937, she was born. Her name is Joanne Worley, and she was a star of Laugh-In. And I was in class with her for several weeks at the Pasadena Playhouse in Pasadena, California. And I knew she was going to be a star because she was hilarious.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be a Kim Novak story. I was gearing up for it.
No, that's my Jacqueline Bissett story.
Jacqueline Bissett, yeah.
And here's the boot. And he's going to Puente at the 10-yard line, and now he is up to the 20, the 30. He's got a space, and he's driving his legs, and he is still driving, and he's up to the 40-yard line, making a great return.
I tell you what, they must practice on thrust.
Yep.
Because these guys, they block, and they just put out all kinds of force.
Yep, they get right behind that ball carrier, make sure they can bowl ahead for 2, 3, 4 more yards. That was a 34-yard run back.
And that is called power football.
So Brackenridge set up handsomely at the 40-yard line at its own 40. Lee has got to find something on defense, especially to try to track down Cameron, who's had a very good game throwing the ball.
Cameron, Talamontes, and also Puente. So here's Cameron handing it off to Justin Cabrera.
Oh,
he has got space. He's got the first down and more.
14 yards he's got. They just have tremendous blocking. The Volunteers just don't have the strength to hold off. And making the stop, one of the smaller guys in the pileup, he finally made the tackle, and that was Iman Raymond.
Cabrera's had 2 carries for 24 yards, including that 11-yard touchdown run in the first quarter.
So it'll be Cameron handing it off to Talamontes this time, and he's fighting for more yards. And I think he's going to get a gain of 4.
1. No, I'll give him about 2, it looks like to me, depending on where they put the ball. Referee's very generous.
4 or 3.
I'm giving him 3.
I'll give him 3.
Hurry up offense now, though, for the
I'm the official
Eagles.
scorer up here right now.
Double wide outside each way, Chase.
Here's Julian Cameron dropping back, looking for a pass. He's got a man open and is caught, and he stiff arms one guy, and it's, ooh, that was a great low hit by number 17. That's Evan Pledger coming in there very low, trying to get the tall guy down.
Jade Rios was the receiver. 3rd down and still about 4. This is imperative now that the Volunteers hold the Eagles.
Double wide out set both sides. Okay, Cameron puts a man in motion. And here's Cameron with the handoff. And
great surge
Justin
again.
Cabrera just surging through the middle after that O-line pushes a slight hole through the defensive line of the Lee Volunteers.
Yeah, and Josh Johnson finally made the stop.
We have a hurt player on the field, a lead lineman.
He weighs 190 pounds. He's 6 feet tall, but every parent has to worry, and every coach too, when you have a night like this when it is so humid and the kids need so much hydration.
12 first downs for Brackenridge now in this ball game.
Dehydration can lead to a lot of things, which mostly is cramps or blackouts.
Well, he's okay, and that's good news. And that's going to be one of the defensive linemen, Christian McCoy, who, as I said earlier, was the real thing. And he plays a heck of a football game as well.
So it'll be 1st and 10 in the Volunteers' territory, sitting at about the 36-yard line.
Lee trying to snap a 19-game losing streak.
Double wide out set,
43 defense.
Brackenridge with 183 yards of offense in this first half. You look at that total, you think more than 14 points.
So here's Julian Cameron taking the snap, and it's a fake handoff, and he's got a man, and the man comes around, and it is caught. And again, that is the man that's been putting on the show tonight. That's Carlos Carmago with that amazing reception as he came around the defender.
That was a tremendous fake, though, by Cameron. I think the lead defenders kind of hesitated a moment, Richard, and that opened up the secondary.
Camargo's got some fleet feet and some really fast speed. So it'll be double wide out set both sides. Here's Julian Cameron with the handoff up the middle, and he's got room and holes because of that big O-line.
It's about 6.
So it'll be 2nd and 4 for the Brackenridge Eagles.
It's a gang tackle, but again, Josh Johnson put the cement to the pavement.
Ball of scrimmage is at the 12-yard line with 4 minutes, 38 seconds left in the second quarter. Here's Julian Cameron putting the man in motion and is given to the tight end. And he's got room, and that's to the 5. And he's cracking into the end zone for a touchdown. And that was Jade Rios making that touchdown as he got the handoff.
202-pound, 6-foot junior. And he showed some great speed as he found the range to his liking and goes in for an easy 6.
Well, that's how you answer a score on the other end by Lee.
So now that'll make it 20-3 with 4 minutes, 20 seconds left.
Now they're going to go, looks like they're going to go for 2 here with a spread formation. And the rollout. No good.
He tried to throw the ball to Jade Rios, but it was just thrown a little too low.
20-3 is our score. 4:27 left in the second period here on GDP Sports and our Facebook. And we'll be back. You're listening to Frost High School Football.
We expect a lot from the teams we give our loyalty to. We expect them to play through the pain, leave it on the field, and give 110%, even though that's impossible. Yet when it comes to the banks we give our money to, we expect less than we do of the backup punter. At Frost, we want to change the way you think about banks entirely by never stopping when it comes to giving you our very best. And if you need to armchair quarterback us sometime, go for it. It'll only make us better. See what you can expect at frostbank.com/expect more.
We're back at Alamo Stadium, 20-3 Brackenridge with 4:27 to go in the first half. A sustained drive that answered the Lee field goal on the other end of the field. 114 yards passing for Cameron tonight for Brackenridge this evening. He has been the story as far as what he's been able to do against this Lee defense. Only 3 incompletions, Chase, in that span. So that makes him 9 of 12 for 114 yards. The reason I bring that up, big 19-yard gain to Camargo set up that touchdown run on the other end as we saw Rios take it in. The 6th, from 12 yards out, I should say, the 6th different Brackenridge player to run the football in this ball game.
That is definitely what they're trying to do. They're trying to wear down that Lee Volunteer defense, trying to get them tired so that they can score more points and then eventually end up winning the game in power football and wearing them down.
Yep.
So here's the boot by Gomez, and it goes to the 20-yard line, and he is up to the 40-yard line and tackled, and that is
Xavier Lopez on the return.
So another Lee set up handsomely at its 40-yard line. So Gary Chase, this is one of those situations where Danny Closa and his offense has got to find something to be able to kind of to kind of build on the momentum from that last offensive drive. If nothing else, you've got to counterpunch for a while until your defense can figure out a way to stop what Brackenridge is doing.
Over the ball is big center Jonathan Goss de Leon.
Seabolt puts a man in motion, and now it's a reverse and a reverse. And he is looking for space.
Uh-oh.
Got a flag down.
And a ball comes free, but the whistle had blown.
The ball carrier on that play was Jeremiah Shelton.
Going to be a block in the back at the 37-yard line.
You know, you just have to play smart football.
There is an intelligence factor in the game of football. If you don't have the IQ, then there is sometimes where that you'll get mixed
it's a matter of applying yourself.
Yes.
And let's see, Charles, you've been able to hear us. We still haven't heard you. He cannot talk. That's unusual for Charles.
That is. So it'll be trip, set left, and a single receiver on the right. Here's Seabolt. Takes a snap, dropping back to pass, looking for an open pass, and he throws it right over the hands
of Doug Otto,
making it 2nd and 20.
Well, it's a birthday for a famous baseball family, and of course they've been gone a long time, all three of them. There were three brothers of this group: Vince, Dominic, and Joe. Who was that?
DiMaggio's.
Yes. On this date in 1912, Vincent DiMaggio was born and had a great restaurant in San Francisco. Didn't have to worry about people parking their tents. Oh, here's a long one.
Great catch. What a great throw by Seabolt to put Lee deep into Brackenridge territory all the way down to the 39-yard line.
Making that reception was Jeremiah Shelton. 6'1", 155-pound receiver. He's a junior.
3:40 to go. Plenty of time to score.
22-yard gain on that
longest yardage of the night for the Volunteers.
So it'll be double wide out, set to the right with a single on the left. Here's the handoff to Teleford, and he is driving for more yardage. Picks up about 8 yards on that play.
Telesford is 5'11", 153-pounder. He's not very big, but he had great leg drive on that one.
Hurry up offense. Here's Seabolt. Taking the snap, and it's a flag on the play. The center moved too quickly as he was
a little eager, a little anxious.
Snapping that ball back.
65 yards and penalties for Lee in this first half.
And no winning streak will ever be started with that many penalties in the first half. And they've lost 19 in a row. Hate to keep saying that, but these kids play their hearts out. And it's tough on Danny Closa and his staff. There's no doubt about it.
It definitely is, and it's just one of those things that he has to.
Oh, it's against Brackenridge.
Keep in mind.
Well, that's even better for the Volunteers.
Our apologies.
Yes.
45 yards and penalties against Brackenridge this evening.
And that's not making Willie Hall too happy.
105 yards and penalties in this first half.
My
both
goodness. Sides.
You just can't have that.
Another first down by penalty for Lee. That's their 5th first down of this ball game.
3:09 to play in the quarter.
And Gary, I would venture to say that at least 3 of those penalties have been by, or first downs have been by penalty.
Yes. A little discussion now by the officials at the 30-yard line. You got Gervis Adams, Chris Allen, Alfieri, Ronald Dement, Jared Marks, Jody Odom, Jason Pierce, Mario Sosa,
so
Cody
Brackenridge
Thompson,
is taking a timeout.
Chris Trollo, Wayne Warren, and Jamison Wicks. Those are all the assistant coaches for the Volunteers. In order to give equal time, let's tell you who they are on the other side of the field for the Eagles. Willie Hall, the head coach, and you've got Jeff Smith, Isaiah Robinson, Ray Cortez. We had a nice visit with him before the game. Gilbert Flores, he had been with Sonny Detmer for 7 years. Austin Zabata, Ruben Lozano, Mark Pettis, Marcos Luna, Ryan Slattery, Brian Adams, and Joey Isaac. So that's all of the men who put their hours and guidance and leadership into classrooms and football fields every day. We want to thank you for listening to high school football. And thanks people like Blake Stevens. He has a tracking device on this defense tonight, I think. GPS of Texas.
So it'll be 2nd and 3 for the Lee Volunteers with the double wide out set to the right and a single receiver on the left.
And the shotgun.
As the head ref will blow the whistle. So now the game has been resumed.
So they took out Marvin Livingston on defense and replaced him with Puente.
And here's Seabolt throwing a pass.
And Delgado was wide open, but it was just overthrown.
It was just overthrown, a little miscommunicated on the routes.
He was open at the 15.
So this is where we are technologically. We can't hear Charles on the sideline as we're trying to figure that out, but he's texting me some of the information that's happening down there because he's our eyes down there on the sideline.
Well, it wouldn't do any good for me because I don't know how to text anyway.
Yeah.
You can read the text, but you can't text back.
I know. I've seen your phone. By the way, you've got a text from me from April.
Yeah.
I need an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to be at your house for Christmas dinner. I haven't got that invitation yet.
Yeah.
So it'll be 2nd and 13.
Full house.
Here's the snap. And he's looking for a receiver, and he throws way over, and it's intercepted by Puente. And Puente is going up to the 20, the 25, and is taken down.
Yeah, I think we have a defensive encroachment on there. There's a flag down over by the Lee sideline at the 43. Let's see. I think this may be a free play for Lee.
I want to thank the staff at Alamo Independent School District for allowing us to be up here tonight.
All right, so we'll replay the second down. So that's 50 yards of penalties for Brackenridge, 60 yards of penalties for Lee in this first half. It also makes for a long half.
It sure do.
And now it'll be 2nd and 8 for the Lee Volunteers, making it a little bit better for them in the field position. Here's Seabolt.
20-3. Seabolt fakes. He throws as he's rushed out of the pocket. It's incomplete. I'll tell you what, and I think he may have had a good cause. Jared Zavala wanted a flag because the ball was over his head about 3 yards, and the defender hit him anyway.
So Seabolt, after going 6 of 7 to start the game passing, is now 5 of 6 misses, incompletions. So Brackenridge is tuning up their defense. They're making adjustments, and it's costing Seabolt through the air.
So now they put 2 on the flank right and single flank left, and now here's Seabolt keeping. Oh, he has no place to go. He gets maybe a half yard. He somersaulted in the air, scrapes the cloud, and comes down hard. And it was Aravalo. That's Max Aravalo, 5'8", 245. You talk about squatty body, Jerry Comalander.
Well, here's a decision for Danny Closa. The ball on the 36-yard line. He's got a 4th down now, 4th and 7.
2 minutes to play with 20 seconds. I think he'll go.
Seabolt looks a little shaken up on the sideline as he goes out. So
yeah, he is. He's limping pretty good.
Kyle Killian will be in. They're going to go for it. 5'10", 170-pounder. 18 yards up the far side. He's a southpaw. Oh, my.
Welcome to the game.
A loss of 14. And leading the charge, and my goodness, they couldn't have stopped him with a tank. That was Aaron Villegas.
So with 1:55 to go, it sets up Brackenridge near midfield.
And just as I say that, they flash his picture on the screen.
Yep.
Along with Trevion Wise, who was also on the play. My picture hadn't been up there yet.
Not yet. They're waiting until...
They're waiting.
1:55 to go here in the
It's
quarter.
because you're a legend.
No, that's what they call Lee now, isn't it?
Oh, maybe.
I'm still bitter about that. I don't mind telling you, San Antonio. 4-3 defense.
So it'll be a handoff to Jaden Rios.
Oh, boy.
For a gain of 2 yards on the play.
Yeah, there's no place to go for him. And filling the gap in a hustle and a hurry. And there's a heck of a defensive play. And it was Sincere Morgan.
So it'll be Julian Cameron with the
nice
handoff, and
that's a
horse collar.
Yep.
He handed it off.
Yeah, great surge by Adam Bell. But the thing about it is he rang the wrong bell.
Yeah, caught him 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, but he caught him by a horse collar and dragged him down. That's going to be a penalty against Lee, and we've mentioned a few times they're drawing the flags tonight.
That was Livingston on the carry that got horse collared.
On this date in 1909, Robert Perry discovered the North Pole.
That was Livingston's first carry of this ballgame.
Was it really? I guess it was.
Tomorrow, Richard, what's your prediction? 2 big games in the collegiate world.
Sorry, Gary, I was watching the
that's
the
right.
official. Looks like they have...
now they're going to mark it off. You got LSU and Texas, A&M and Clemson.
Yeah, 2 games that are going to be watermark games. 2 penalties being marched off against Lee on that play. The horse collar in the backfield and an unsportsmanlike conduct against Brackenridge. So you've got the one march off for 15 yards against...
They're earning their money tonight, let's put it that way.
I guess basically they were offsetting penalties, but there was unsportsmanlike conduct against Brackenridge and the horse collar against Lee. So the penalties, you rarely see the official march it off 15 yards
That's
and
true.
then march back 15
They
yards.
ordinarily say offsetting penalties.
So that was an offsetting penalty.
So it'll be Julian Cameron taking the snap, looking for...
take it down
and
immediately.
He is sacked. And making that sack was number 17, Evan Pledger. 5'10", 173 senior.
Gary, you've talked about that big line of Brackenridge. Diego Cornejo, 6'2", 230 pounds, got absolutely blown up on that play, and it cost his quarterback.
I tell you what, I'm sure the humidity and the heat having an effect on the stamina of these kids too.
Right.
100%, yes.
Loss of 9 yards on that sack.
If it has an effect on me and I'm just sitting down, then I can only imagine being in all that gear.
Yes, I know what you mean. 5-day deodorant pads don't do you much good on a day like this.
No, they do not.
Especially on the 6th day.
I will say when the climate is cooler, the football pads feel a little bit better.
Yeah, they do.
So it'll be double wide out set both sides. Here's Julian Cameron dropping back to pass. He's going to throw a little flare.
Oh,
That's
wide
a
open.
Nice catch, and that was a one-handed catch by Hernandez. And he's looking for space, and he's up and tackled forwards. And he is finally down at the 49-yard line.
And then there was a hit late on Lee. Flags come in. That's going to be unsportsmanlike conduct against Lee.
Oh, my goodness.
Knocking down Livingston out in the left flat at the end of that play. He got hit twice by 2 different guys.
Without the fries.
So that was a 10-yard gain on the run.
Well, you know, if you don't play smart, bad things are going to happen. There is an
offsetting fouls again, Gary.
Oh, my.
Who was the ball carrier on that one?
That was Hernandez. But then Livingston.
But Livingston was in and came in and
got he was the person that the flag got called on.
I think you're going to see a long pass on this play. I don't think they'll. Who knows?
If you predict right, then you are magical. Here's Julian Cameron with the handoff, and he is going with the little reverse, and he tries to shoot up that hole, and he almost got free.
Hector Hernandez.
As he got shoelace tackled by
number 80.
number 80, Martavian Reese, but also Monque.
Morgan was the other tackler.
So it'll be fourth and three.
So 7-yard gain for Hernandez, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players have run the ball for Brackenridge. Brackenridge calls a timeout.
13 seconds left to play and a half.
8 different Brackenridge Eagles have run the football tonight. And Chase, to your point, it is pretty clear on a hot, humid Friday night. And to Gary's point about just the numbers at Lee and having to come up against all these offenses that are going to come at you in waves, it'll wear you down. So
it will definitely wear you down.
One last play here on 4th down for Brackenridge.
Oh, my, look out.
So that'll be Julian Cameron taking it 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, which the clock is at 6 seconds left in the second quarter. So that'll be a turnover on downs to the Lee Volunteers.
It's really interesting. Why not run around and do something and bleed that clock down?
Why not throw a long aerial downfield?
So now it'll be Lee's turn.
I want you
take a crack at the maybe Hail Mary or long pass, or
it's real easy to call these plays from up here, by the way.
By the way, no one gave me any compliments at all up and down about 60 steps here at Alamo Stadium.
That was pretty strong.
Yeah.
You did a fine job.
That was very strong. Here's Seabolt throwing out to Delgado.
Gets 5.
That's it.
And that's all. Now it's time to sweat and get. And so here we go to halftime intermission. And our score after one penalty-laden first half, 20-3. And we'll be back to talk more about high school football here at the historic Rock Yard, Alamo Stadium. You're listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Sports.
We expect a lot from the teams we give our loyalty to. We expect them to play through the pain, leave it on the field, and give 110%, even though that's impossible. Yet when it comes to the banks we give our money to, we expect less than we do of the backup punter. At Frost, we want to change the way you think about banks entirely by never stopping when it comes to giving you our very best. And if you need to armchair quarterback us sometime, go for it. It'll only make us better. See what you can expect at frostbank.com/expect more.
APIA specializes in real estate investor insurance. For years, investors have struggled managing individual insurance policies. So APIA built a program to put investors' properties under one insurance policy. They've been helping investors save time and improve cash flow nationwide since 2001. APIA has the flexibility to meet the unique demands of both investors and financial institutions. Call in the real estate asset protection experts today, www.apiaprotects.com, or call 877-752-2742.
While some banks are slow to approve auto loans, RBFCU is hitting the gas. With one of San Antonio's lowest loan rates and fast online approval, you'll have more time and money to live life your way. Apply today at rbfcu.org. Subject to credit approval, rates and terms subject to change. Other restrictions may apply. Better rates. It's what we do at RBFCU.
Hard work, dedication, commitment. Qualities that are found on a winning football team and qualities that you should look for in a contractor. Central Builders has conducted their businesses by these qualities for 25 years. The dedication has resulted in coast-to-coast clients who aim to build, remodel, and restore their large and small businesses. Many school districts and grocery chains, such as H-E-B, have selected CBI as their first string to implement and improve existing structures as well. Call CBI 210-590-0235.
According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, more than 100 Americans die each day in traffic crashes. and thousands more are injured. If you were injured in a car crash, call Thomas J. Henry. Thomas J. Henry handles serious auto accident cases and gets serious results for injured clients. Start your free claim today at tjhlaw.com/radio. That's tjhlaw.com/radio.
San Antonio, Texas.
Every family wants the assurance that their most valuable possessions are protected and secure for the future. That's why you need the most insurance coverage that budgets can afford. Even though his company is headquartered in Texas, John Lester is expanding his company from coast to coast. He has recently added several major insurance companies to better serve his growing clientele. You are protected from hurricane, fire, auto accidents, even a polar bear attack. John Lester once played linebacker for the Bastrop Bears, knows the importance of insurance. Call John Lester's Insure 1-210-541-9771.
Welcome back to the historic Alamo Stadium, ladies and gentlemen. We came here tonight because of a nostalgia trip down memory lane. I was on this same turf. Well, it was a real turf in those days when the Robert E. Lee Volunteers and the Brackenridge Eagles played to a 55-48 final score in the greatest game described by the Dallas Morning News as the greatest high school game of the 20th century in Texas, and indeed it was. And it ain't going to happen that way tonight, unfortunately, but what a difference about 60 years makes. By the way, there have been several people of prominence and who have been in my, I guess, circle of friends over many years. First off, we lost the mayor of Lida Cockrell this last week. Her great tribute funeral yesterday at age 97. 2 weeks ago today, I spent time of 2 hours with Jim Lavelle, the great detective who was handcuffed to Lee Harvey Oswald in the basement of City Hall in November of 1964, or rather 63. And he passed away last week in Denver after surgery. And then Dr. Chiscano passed away this week, and his son Steve has been a very prominent attorney here in San Antonio for many years. And, you know, it happens to everybody sooner or later. But those three names have certainly been legendary in San Antonio.
Well, Gary, we have a lot of fun with you, and we joke about your age, but you're a true friend to a lot of people, and you're a true San Antonian, that's for sure. And we appreciate the fact that not only do you tell us about those people, but you really care about them. And we know Jim was a dear friend of yours.
Oh, he was.
That's a tough loss.
He was, yeah. And his funeral's tomorrow in Dallas. By the way, Rob Hicks, you know, he likes to get on the air, and he's been trying to squeeze in the last 30 minutes. He's got some scores from across the city. There's one big game going on right now.
Wow.
Oh, my, at halftime.
Alamo Heights, rough start to the year for those guys.
Yeah, well, and they've had some injuries. Plus, they have lost a lot of their star players from last year, including one named Proctor. He was their big gun.
Right.
Wow, well, thank you, Rob.
That was the Reverend Rob on with the scores there, and I think we've got Richard with some halftime stats.
Well, Gary,
unofficial stats?
Well, believe me, very unofficial stats, scrawled as I went along here, rusty as can be. But let me give you some stats as I saw it in the first half. It was only 7-0 Brackenridge heading into that second quarter. You thought Lee, was looking a little pesky there, but it kind of got worn down. And we talked about it, 8 different Brackenridge ball carriers in that first half. So really just trying to make some things happen on the ground and doing such a good job of it. But also, as is always the case, the ground game sets up the passing game. And that was the case for Brackenridge tonight as Cameron, 9 of 12 passing for 114 yards. but it was on the ground that Brackenridge did most of their damage. 3 touchdown runs in this ball game. We'll go over the scoring here in a second. But Cabrera, 4 carries for 35 yards. Very balanced across the board, Gary. Charles, Cabrera, 4 for 35. Telemontes, 7 carries for 29 yards. Hernandez, 4 carries for 33 yards. 225 yards of Brackenridge in the first half. 1 sack on each side in this one. 14 first downs for Brackenridge, but also 6 penalties for 50 yards. Lots of offsetting penalties in the end of the second quarter, which kind of made kind of a weird little stretch. Probably would have been a lot worse because there were a lot more flags on the field. Lee tonight, only 85 yards of offense to this point, 5 first downs, 1 sack in this ball game. They had 6 penalties for 60 yards. Again, lots of offsets there in the end of the second quarter. Seabolt at quarterback, 8 of 14 for 76 yards, and we need to keep an eye on him. Limped off the field late in their last offensive possession after he was wrestled to the turf. Looked like an ankle problem. Telesford, 5 rushes for 20 yards, leading Lee as far as offensively, and Delgado, 4 catches for 30 yards. And, you know, you look at the scoring in that first quarter, 7 minutes and 12 seconds to go, following a good long 61-yard drive on 10 plays. Cabrera went in for 11 yards for Brackenridge. The extra point was good, made it 7-0. In the second quarter, early in the second quarter, set up by a turnover on the last play of the first quarter by Lee, which set Brackenridge up at the Lee 20-yard line. A fumble by Seabolt set that up. Camargo in for a 6-yard touchdown run. The kick was good, 14-0. Brackenridge over Lee at that point. And then about 3 minutes later, 7:18 to go, Lee answers at least its only offensive answer of the first half. Rodriguez with a 30-yard field goal. Really a line drive, hooked 3-iron type of field goal. But you know what? It looks good in the box score. 14-3 at that point. Lee climbing within 11 points. But then, boy, I tell you, Brackenridge turned right around, marched the ball right down Lee's throat. 4:27 to go in the first half. Rios with a 12-yard run on a little counter play. The 2-point try failed with 4:27 to go. So that's where we are, Charles, at this point. Brackenridge over Lee 20-3 as we are now watching the Lee band on the field.
Yeah, a lot of control there for the Brackenridge Eagles. They just took control of the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Outside of really 3 passing plays, 2 of those from involving Seabold and Shelton. Mm-hmm. And then and Brackenridge adapted to that one. You saw that where they brought in Puente in the defensive back, and he just played safety back there. And outside of a defensive offsides, he would have had himself an interception, and that would have been even more disastrous for Lee, and probably led to another score for Brackenridge with plenty of time left there in the second quarter. So Brackenridge, certainly other than the penalties, can go into the halftime and be happy with how they did in terms of offensively. I'm certainly sure that the coaches are addressing the penalties.
Yeah.
Now that they have a lead, those are one of the things that they can really work on. Is just say, hey guys, let's eliminate the mistakes.
Yeah, play good, disciplined football. You don't have to make the mistakes that's going to give Lee any kind of glimmer of hope. When they come out in the second half, they're going to try to do something. Brackenridge is to try to make something happen right off the bat. Just to kind of take out any hope that Lee might have, and that's start that third quarter. You look at those kind of things and you think this is one of those. Brackenridge took that opening kickoff, went down and scored right away. You kind of thought this was going to be like a really lopsided game, but 20-3, obviously a good commanding lead for Brackenridge. But by the same token, Lee, sometimes this game it's just a matter of having the door kind of open a crack, and then all of a sudden some things happen for you, and all of a sudden you're back in the ball game.
Well, and they did defer the kick, and so they will take possession in the first possession of the third quarter. So there's an opportunity there for Lee to do something, to get some momentum back. Also, it keeps the offense of Brackenridge off the field for a few minutes, and so if they can mount something, they don't even necessarily have to come away with points on the first drive, but if they can mount something, get some first downs on some key plays. They've been fortunate to where they've gotten some first downs, as you pointed out several times, on penalties, but they need to earn them. And if they can earn a few first downs in the beginning of this third quarter, they've got a fighting chance.
Right.
And I talked to one of the other coaches before the game while Gary was talking to the head coach, and And he said if we can just do what we do well and stay within ourselves and not make mistakes, then we can keep up with these guys. They know that Brackenridge is a good team, and Brackenridge has some weapons. I think we've seen their ball control offense. I don't think we've heard or seen their wide open offense. They have some skills. They talked about their quarterback being able to throw a deep ball. He hasn't done that yet.
Right.
So we may not see that during this game. Again, it might be a matter of them working on their discipline, doing the small things right, so that later on in district play that they're not making these same mistakes.
Yeah, Lee came into this game fresh off that loss to Taft last week, 41-21. So you kind of had the indication right off the bat, playing one of the larger schools in Taft, that this was going to be one of those kind of seasons again for Lee after 19 consecutive losses. They need to come in, and so when you think about that, 19 consecutive losses against a variety of programs. Obviously, Lee's got some struggles as far as numbers and the things that they could do, but it's interesting that again. You hate to, as a coach, you never say moral victories. You never do that. But I know Danny Closa with Antonian on the horizon, a good friend of his, Van Fushak, the head coach over at Antonian, next week playing those guys. It'll be a matter of pride for him to try to come up strong against Antonian next week. He'd love to come out with a second half where they kind of hit back. Smack them in the mouth a couple times to make something happen on offense, where you kind of say you come out of it saying, look, there's guys, this is how we can play when everything – goes the way we want it to go. When we play the kind of football that we're capable of playing, we're able to do some things effectively and proactively. I think that's kind of where Lee's at. They're looking for those kind of moments.
Well, I think when you are a struggling program, unfortunately, you do have to take satisfaction in some of the moral victories. You have to take satisfaction in, okay, we didn't get 5 first downs in the first half. We let's get 5 first downs in the second half. In this case, they actually got 5 first downs. But so build on that. Okay, we got 5 first downs. Let's get 10 first downs.
Right.
And if that leads to something, then it leads to something. And like you said, the loss to Antonian last year, I think, was a real shocker.
Right.
To them and to the program, and very disappointing, obviously. And the players certainly they don't want to look ahead. But I think you make a good point that they do want to build on something here. It's just like the last game of the season. Sometimes a team will say, "Okay, let's go out on a positive note, and let's hold that over." I mean, we're talking about holding it over till next year.
Sure.
Certainly, that happens week to week as well.
And you wonder about Brackenridge from their standpoint. Obviously, they're playing a team that's pretty weak, really not at their level in a lot of ways. How much of the playbook do they open up? They start district play next week. They're going to play Jefferson. They got Jefferson, Burbank, Veterans Memorial, all those schools on the horizon. Of course, pretty darn big game down the stretch against Wagner. How much do you showcase of your playbook when you're playing a team like Lee, where you feel like, listen, we feel like we can win this ball game with 60% of our playbook or 50% of our playbook, because we don't want to show what we're going to be able to do when we start district play next week.
Sure, and not only that, but they expect to be playing beyond district.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, to your point, they want to win games, and they want to win them right. And there are going to be some things like they talked about, and they talked about this Detmer offense. And we haven't seen that. We've seen some ball control, short tosses, first 4 or 5 passes of the game. It didn't go 3 or 4 yards in the air, and then there was some running after the catch. Then he threw a couple middle distance balls up the middle of the field, and his receivers made some nice catches. But really, no deep balls whatsoever. No wide open offense. Very controlled. So yes, I would agree with you. Very much, they're not showing their hand here.
Right. A lot of running. 8 different guys carrying the ball. Hey, we're just going to kind of shove it down your throat a little bit until you show us you can stop it.
If you're looking at tape and you're at Jefferson and you're looking at this game, you have no idea what's going to hit you.
And keep it, as you know, because you've been on the sideline, Charles. It's a hot evening. It's hot. It's steamy. Not much of a breeze. If you're Lee and you've got a numbers problem on your roster as far as the guys you could kind of send out there in waves or not send out in waves, you're going to feel it in the fourth quarter. You're going to be. You've been hit. You've been knocked around. They've been throwing the running game at you pretty aggressively. What do you do at that point? And you got to kind of dig deep and find something.
Well, you certainly do, and it'll be interesting to see if Seabold comes back out and and gets back behind center or not. I agree with you. He looked like significantly injured.
Yeah, limping pretty good.
And I couldn't tell if it was his back, because he did hold his back as he was going on the sidelines. He actually knelt down on the sidelines, so it could be a little back. It was a play where he got tossed up in the air, and he didn't land awkwardly. So it'll be interesting to see. The backup quarterback did warm up for a few seconds there briefly.
Well, we are at Alamo Stadium, historic, the old rock pile, and there's just a few moments left in the halftime as we watch the Brackenridge band performing on the field. Nothing like high school football, and that includes what you see at halftime at these arenas. And a beautiful, beautiful setting is Alamo Stadium, and just a gorgeous place. So 20-3 is our lead for Brackenridge over Lee as we talk about halftime and talk about what we've got in front of us in the second half. To your point, with William Seabolt injured in the senior kind of limped off the field, not a big guy anyway, 5'10", 164, kind of a, if he did hurt his back, you could see him get kind of thrown around by some of these big guys. But in comes Kyle Killian, 5'10", junior. He's only, God, I think on the roster here, it shows he's like 100 nothing. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what he's going to be able to do. And he's a left-hander.
Yeah,
so that's kind of interesting as a defense. You're seeing somebody winging it at you from a different directions.
Well, and as an offense, you're also used to blocking the pocket one direction. So a lot of changes if that's the case. And we certainly hope that William Seabolt is okay and that we get to see him in the second half. So
I got a couple of score updates for you that are at halftime. Madison has now taken the lead at halftime over Austin Boyd, 20-16.
Oh.
And the second one, and I lost it. Here it is.
There's another one. Take it.
Yeah, getting old. Somerset has now taken the lead at halftime, 10-6 over Devine.
Wow. Well, here we go. So high school football started. It's just so bizarre to think that this summer's over in a sense. As far as what's happening on the scoreboard on a Friday night. Now we're watching high school football. It's the most glorious time of year. And also for me, when you look at high school football and you look at the pageantry of it and just how wonderful it is, just the tradition and all the kind of different things. I don't care what the school is. I don't care if it's Brackenridge, if it's Reagan, if it's some of the Veterans Memorial, the newer schools, Brennan. They all carve out their traditions pretty early. They get something, and this is a tradition. When we talk about tradition in San Antonio, we talk about schools that have storied histories. Robert E. Lee and Brackenridge and the showdown that they had in 1963, and all the gravitas that came with that game. The week or two after after John F. Kennedy was killed, the play of Linus Bear and just the different things that happened in that ball game, the kind of back and forth of a 55-48 decision. I just find that it just gives me goosebumps to think about in San Antonio, and now we're seeing the lineage of it, and just to see these teams are still playing each other, and they're still trying to make some things happen all these years later.
Right, and the unique thing is the coaches on both sides really appreciate the history of it.
Right,
and they know the significance of that, and they know what being out here on this field means. And then you have a halftime show where you got the band is playing obviously a military tribute to all branches of our military, and a little brief version of taps. And this is a military town. It's a very honorable town, as Gary often says. It's like a very small town with a lot of people.
Small city in America. Yeah. This is wonderful. So, hey, at halftime, 20-3 Brackenridge over Lee, and I'll tell you, Charles, one thing down there, and you saw it up close. You saw a little bit of what was happening down there. How about the fact that the equipment wasn't working very well sideline-wide? Not your equipment, but the coaches not being able to communicate up top. I'm sure that a couple of coordinators came on down, tried to do some things on the sideline. What did you see any impact of that? How did that work with the sideline equipment not working for the coaches?
Well, I can't be for sure, but the second quarter they did have their equipment working, so they did have their equipment back working just fine. But that might have added to the fact that Brackenridge was running a more simplified offense.
So, yeah, that might have been it, too. And you know, of course, I kind of like that sometimes when things go awry like that because it forces them to, hey, listen, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're calling in the plays. You remember in the old days when I played, the tight end would always bring in the play. The coach would tell him. He'd come into the huddle and would kind of bark. And, back in Gary DeLon's day, they would carve them out on tablets and stuff and bring them out that way. Chisel them. Yeah, chisel them out on stone tablets. And maybe even
they held them up in Hebrew.
Yeah.
See, I don't remember the old days. I don't know what you're
Chase, you wouldn't remember this at all. Yeah, there used to be a day when there wasn't radio connections like that, and there wasn't, from the sideline up to the booth and all that kind of stuff.
Really?
Carrier pigeons. We had carrier pigeons back in those days and everything like that. So I love the fact, though, that when you talk about Willie Hall, the guy's been around forever. If you go to tell Willie Hall, the Brackenridge coach, who's 63 years old, was a star football player in his own days, looks like he could still run the football whenever anybody wanted to hand it to him. He was. You said he wasn't very happy about it, but by the same token, he's like, I've been here before. I've seen this before.
Yeah,
Not a big deal.
I think his specific words referred to the budget for the school district.
Well, listen, whatever it takes. He knows how this place works. He knows this arena.
They do have a digital marker, and the equipment did start to work in the second quarter, so they got their stuff back.
See, and if our equipment had worked, we would have known that, but we didn't know that because you were.
I was trying to hand signal it up here.
You were texting me instead of letting us know what was going on. Well, we're almost done with the halftime show. 20-3 Brackenridge over Lee. I'm Richard Oliver, along with Charles Vickers, Chase Holly. Gary DeLon is with us somewhere, off being famous somewhere, shaking hands elsewhere at Alamo Stadium. I showed up today for the ball game, and I haven't done a game yet with Gary this year. This was the first one, so I go outside. So I talked to the folks out there, and I was like, hey, I'm Richard Oliver. I'm doing the radio broadcast. Oh, which one are you doing? And I blah, 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 blah. I said, I'm doing it with Gary DeLon. You would have thought that I said that Mick Jagger was in the house. This is how it is with your grandfather, Chase, that, I basically they put down a red carpet and allowed me through the gate.
They 100%.
All I said was that I'm here to do the game with Gary DeLon.
You go somewhere and eat. Well, there's destined to be somebody there.
Yes.
That knows Gary DeLon.
Yes.
And he will come up to the table, or she will come up to the table for an hour and talk to him about all the stories that he has had over the past years.
Yeah. And here's the thing: he remembers them all.
100%. Yes, he does.
He absolutely remembers them. He remembers people. He remembers. We have breakfast every Saturday morning, as you know, over at Denny's. And he holds court every week and said, well, in 1965, the Lee team had that old Joe Bob Taylor, who was at right guard. That guy was chiseled back then. It was 180 pounds. But back then, that might as well be 310 pounds now. And he'll go into this big thing about 100%. These guys and we all look at him and say, of course, he could be saying anything to us. Ted played right tackle. We don't know. But and then some guy will be across one week literally some guy was in another booth nearby and he says, looks over, guy had to be 70, and he goes, I think that's James Thomas. He played at Madison back when Madison first started. He goes over there, and sure enough, how do you recognize a high school guy 50 years later, wherever he played at, at whatever school, pick a school that was around 50 years ago.
Yeah, to your point, I was on the sidelines at a Clark playoff game. Obviously, they were playing a Northeast ISD team, and a couple of old Lee players were on the sideline, and they said, hey, tell Gary DeLon we said hi. And I said, well, I'm going to tell him that, but he's going to invite you up there to talk to him.
That's right.
And sure enough, all that happened, and they went up there, and I didn't really know who they were. They were stars of the 70s, and I didn't grow up here. I grew up in El Paso, so wasn't real familiar with them. And I texted a good friend of mine who went to their high school, and they went to anyway, he texted me, and he told me about them. And they were big stars. And Gary, when he got them in the booth, actually mentioned specific plays.
Oh, of course.
And went right to where they were and what they did. And they were John Jay stars and back in the late 70s during their heyday. And so
it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing when you think about that, and you think about just to be able to register. But that's what's kept Gary not only 60 years of doing high school football, of these memories of the different kind of things that he racks up. But here's what's really interesting is right now we're racking up memories tonight. Yep. Young men are trying to make some things happen. They're trying to be to make some headlines of their own. As both the Brackenridge and Lee teams are back on the field here at Alamo Stadium, we're about to start the third quarter. Lee High School will get the ball first. As Charles pointed out, they deferred on the opening flip of the coin. Gave Brackenridge the ball. Brackenridge scored right away in the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, Brackenridge up 7-0. But now we are at 20-3 as we get ready to start the third quarter. Brackenridge will be going right to left on your radio dial, and Lee will be waiting for the ball on the left side of your radio dial as we're getting ready for the third quarter. Chase Holly will be bringing you play-by-play. I'm Richard Oliver. Welcome to Alamo Stadium. The second half about to begin. A legendary rivalry between Lee and Brackenridge. And we brought it up, of course, in 1963. Lee and Brackenridge, the most celebrated game in Texas high school football history, happened right here at the Rock Pile here at Alamo Stadium.
Where I wasn't around, but I heard that it was an amazing game.
You were not around, that's for sure.
I think the score was 48-47, and there was two people on opposite sides of the teams that scored all the points.
Oh, yeah.
One being
Warren McVeigh.
And the other being?
Linus Bear.
And
Linus is still around in San Antonio. Warren was in Houston for a long time. Here's the kickoff.
By Gomez, and it is caught at the 20, and he is up to the 30, and he's looking for room, and I think that's Delgado, and he is finally brought down at the 34-yard line. And making that stop, as there is a little tussle in there, was number 94 for the Eagles, and that was Emmanuel Perez.
I don't want to be an old fuddy-duddy. I don't want to be this way. But guys out there with the yellow and neon shoes, green shoes and everything, every time I see it, it's a flag on the field.
Yeah, it does look like a field. There's a couple of guys on both sides of the ball from Brackenridge that have yellow shoes, and a couple of guys with their quarterbacks have gold shoes.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not going to hate on those shoes because I used to be a big fan of the
soccer players are a real big fan of funny shoes.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Here's Seabolt.
So
takes a snap, and he's got an open receiver, but it is dropped. It goes straight through the receiver's hands, and the intended receiver, I think making out that number is...
That's number 87, and he dropped the very first pass of the game.
Jarrett Zavala, 6', 186 junior.
Yeah, Seabolt addressed him after the very first drop of the game, and that was another time where he could have gotten at least 5 yards.
Well, so the big question that we had at halftime has been answered. Seabolt does come out for the second half after being injured at the end of the first half, the last offensive snap for Lee.
I think he got a little stinger on his ankle. So it's double wide out set, right single on the left. Here's Seabolt dropping back to pass, looking for a receiver. He's got Delgado. Delgado catches it, and a hard hit.
Yeah, Puente kind of just sitting back there in center field and watching the quarterback's eyes that whole time, and really hit him hard, and he's down on the field.
But he picked up a gain of 4, so that'll make it 3rd and 6. Delgado walking off the field on his own pressure, applied pressure, and he looks like he's going to be okay.
Yeah, Delgado's first catch of the game was a painful one.
Definitely a painful one. Delgado's got some speed, though. Hopefully he can come back into the game and maybe score a touchdown for the Lee Volunteers.
Yeah, Puente's got some strong legs, and he used those to drive Delgado to the turf.
They brought Puente from wide receiver to strong safety or free safety.
Boy, he has been a player tonight. We've said his name time and time again.
He's got quick feet. He can read the pass, and he comes in there with acceleration. Here's Seabolt. Takes the snap, and he throws it to a receiver, and it is caught, and that is for the first down and more.
There's going to be a holding back here.
There's a flag.
Oh, roughing the passer. Let's do 15 yards on top of that.
So that'll make it a first down.
So Seabolt looked towards the middle of the field there, drew Puente away from the intended receiver. Puente broke towards the middle of the field, leaving that slant pattern open. And Siebold did a nice job of finding the open man, and he stayed in the pocket, took the hit. And we're looking at a 25-yard net gain here for the
So coming
Volunteers.
out of the locker room, you can already see a little bit of improvement in the Lee Volunteers' attitudes and offensive play with a double wideout set on both sides.
They're sure taking it to the air, and that's 65 yards and penalties now against Brackenridge. And, Charles, we talked at halftime about that was the one thing that Willie Hall was probably telling his team, let's clean this up.
Here's Siebold taking the snap. He's looking to his right. He's got a receiver, and it is ruled incomplete.
It's good. Good
Or
catch.
it's good. One ref was saying incomplete. One was saying...
Yeah, the back judge was saying incomplete, that he saw it hit the ground, so he overrules the sidelines judge. So it goes back to 2nd and 10. So exactly right there, Chase. One saying good, one saying no good.
So now it'll be 2nd and 10 with the double wideout set both sides. Same formation. Siebold looking for a receiver. Here's Siebold taking the pass, snap, and he's looking deep. And he's got a man in the clear, but he's being guarded by two men, and that's Puente and also a lead rusher for the Eagles, Talamantes.
So when you look at what's happening with Lee right now, they're opening up their offense quite a bit. I like the fact that Danny Close's offense is stretching it out a little bit, taking it downfield. But now here's a 3rd and 10 play with the ball on the 33. This is a big play. Lee trying to get something to happen. The ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage and incomplete. Big play by the Brackenridge line there, as that was Keith Griffin, came in from defensive back, 6 foot, 160, came in and put his big paw up and knocked that ball down. So it's now a 4th down and 10. The ball's at the 33. Really kind of no man's land for Danny Close and his team. They've got to go for it here. Too close to punt, but it's too far away to kick a field goal. So look,
So that's one of those tough spots where you just got to say we're going to go for it.
And that's what they're doing.
Here's Siebold dropping back to pass. He's looking for an open receiver. He's got Delgado, and it is caught, and that's a 1st down on 4th down.
17-yard gain down to the 16-yard line to Delgado. Big catch for Delgado, who now has a couple of catches in the second half.
Delgado, like I said, hopefully he could come back on the field and make some plays. Here's Siebold. It was going to be a pitch, but he keeps it and holds on to it, but he is slammed to the ground by 3 Brackenridge Eagles. And in that stack was Traydon Wise and also Joey Lopez, along with
on the island of Hawaii tonight.
Howdy, Steve.
And also Shannon Mason DeLon listening up in Bernie.
So it'll be double wide outset right, and here's the pass.
And he got in. Touchdown. He reached the ball over the plane, Chase, and that's a touchdown for Lee.
What a beautiful IQ play of reaching that ball over that end zone line and scoring without even entering.
And I didn't catch who caught that.
Yeah, it was number 83.
And that would be
Edgar Martinez.
So
6 foot,
150 senior.
You talk about putting some adrenaline in the old body there, huh?
I think Lee got a little pep in their step after the locker room talk. Here's the PAT, and it is actually high.
High
and far and good.
Yeah, 20-10. Well, this is a new ball game, and new energy for the Volunteers of Danny Closa. My goodness, that was wonderful, and you know, it's nostalgia for me. I realize that, you know, because I was here so many years ago, and Danny Closa was going to call Linus Bear to come tonight because he heard we were going to be on the air, and he thought we'd need to have Linus here. I wish he were here, and but you know what he told me? He said, Linus is still so upset that they changed the name. He didn't think he'd come.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a shame to erase the history of Robert E. Lee. And by the way, we want to say that It was on this date in 1901, U.S. President McKinley was shot by an assassin. He died 5 days later. And with all the gun controversy around. Here's our offside quick kick.
And it was a weird formation in the way that they lined up, because they lined up in kind of almost like a huddle, and they try to catch the Brackenridge Eagles off guard. Very smart play by the Volunteers, but they just couldn't get it.
Lost all my paper clips here, blowing every place.
You hate to lose your paper clips.
I know. I got to hold myself together.
One thing, you lose your paper clips. What's next?
You got to hold yourself together from what?
That's what the paper clip. That's what the paper clips are for.
Old age.
Old age. Well, that's okay. It'll be 1st and 10.
So Lee's got new life. They've got to stop on defense. They've got to make something happen here.
Here's Julian Cameron with the handoff. Talamontes, and he is going to spin move, and he is finally downed at the 46-yard line of the Volunteers.
Picks up about 6 yards. He's got a 2nd and 4. But it's in Volunteer territory. I want to thank Charles Vickers for having to abandon the sideline due to frequency problems. Came up here this evening.
Here's Cameron with the handoff to Talamontes. Talamontes looking for room, and he does a little spin move and a stiff arm, and he is up and got the first down
at the 40.
I got to give it to Willie Hall. He really makes his players have that extra boost of speed and agility when going up against stronger defenders.
One of the tacklers was shaken up on the play. He seems to be okay, though, but that was Evan Pledger.
9 carries, 45 yards now for Talamontes.
So it'll be 1st and 10 with a single receiver out wide, right and left. Here's the snap, and is handed off to Talamontes, and Talamontes driving with his legs for a gain of 6 yards.
2nd and 4 at the 36. Well, they're on the move now.
Talamontes is the leading rusher in this game with 45 yards on 10 carries. Kind of symbolic of what Brackenridge is doing. 4.5 yards a carry, just driving the ball, just trying to make something happen on the ground.
Power football formation. As the line goes up and down. Here's the handoff to Talamontes, and Talamontes does that same spin move, but this time
where to go?
Getting clocked for a loss of 4 yards.
Josh Johnson came up, the linebacker, and met him in the backfield.
There's a flag on the play.
Boy, I tell you what, though.
Might have gotten the face mask.
Yeah. This lead defense has been more unpredictable than a Ben Affleck courtship. Just you don't know which it's going to go. So.
Wow, Brackenridge, unsportsmanlike conduct after the play.
Oh, wow. You know, this game could change. You got 7:25 still to play in the third.
Yes.
High school football is a strange sport, let me tell you.
There's a lot of unpredictable things that happen in the game of football.
8 penalties for 80 yards against Brackenridge, and we still have 7:22 to go in the third quarter.
You don't want that. You don't want that.
Here's Cameron. Takes a snap. He's looking. He's rolling to his left, and he's almost sacked. And
it was almost intercepted, too.
No flag.
Yeah, Brackenridge looking for a flag. And
there is a flag on the field at the 49-yard
Justin
line. Far side.
I think that might be
roughing the passer.
It could be, but boy, that would be a tough call.
Well, I don't think that was roughing the passer.
Yeah, he had.
Because he still had the ball in his hand when he was hit.
Yeah, penalty against the offense declined by Lee, which brings up 4th down. So
they get the ball back. Well, maybe.
And here comes Lee. I tell you what, did they get a little something going here? This might be a pretty exciting little stretch.
It could be with 7:11 to play in the third period. So
I believe a timeout by Lee here.
I got a score update for you. Madison in the third quarter is ahead 27-16.
Oh, they've come from behind.
Over Austin Bowie.
I wonder if the knives are sharpened up there.
We have some scores from around town in the third quarter.
They might be, Gary DeLone. They might be. Madison had a great year last year.
Sure did. Great comeback.
We enjoyed that game against Lake Travis. That was a tremendous comeback. 35. What was the final? 35-28. And Lake Travis had taken a 35-7 lead.
Lake Travis was just a better and all-around football team.
And you remember the kid Carson Hurd, the big 6'5" quarterback? He's returning this year for Lake Travis.
He is returning for Lake Travis. But they also had another quarterback that was a little bit smaller.
Who got a scholarship.
But a little bit faster. He definitely had the speed and the wheels on him.
All right, it's going to be punt time for Brack. Another whistle. I guess that was to signify the play was back in.
And the punt is going to...
Ooh, did that hit the lead player? Now, of course, you can, as a Brackenridge player, you can't knock the ball into the lead player.
Yeah.
It looked kind of like that's what he was trying to do. So it looks like Lee's going to have the ball at 28-yard line, 29-yard line.
I had a long discussion, Richard, and I know you have too, especially with Andrew Brott, knowing the rigors and pressure of being a high school official with his father. But I had a gentleman tell me the other day that they're having a heck of a time finding young men who want to be officials.
Yeah, hard job.
They had to cancel several games in West Texas.
I can imagine. That'd just be a brutal. You got to be able to handle it.
You definitely have to be able to handle it.
Nope, there's another flag. You delay a game, I believe.
Yeah,
illegal procedure.
Well, it's been a uniform issue for, I think it's Anthony, number 8. They're talking about his knees not being covered. He made the first 3 tackles of the game on both the kickoff team and on defense, but they've addressed his knees being not protected several times.
Well, I didn't know that. That's a good observation, Charles.
So it'll be trip set right with the single receiver on the left. Here's Siebold dropping back to pass. He's looking for an open receiver. He's got a man on the flank. Here he's up to the 25, and he's up to the 30 and knocked out of bounds at the 30-yard line. And making that stop was number 31 for the Eagles. And that was Carlos Hernandez.
Castillo was the one who caught that ball, and he just barely hung on to that catch initially.
2nd and 8 at the 31. Going from my left to right. That's north to south.
So it'll be trip set left. Here's Siebold looking to pass. He's looking to his left and is tipped. And a Brackenridge player hit his own player. And that was Traydon Wise that got knocked down.
Well, let me tell you, there was a big guy right in the middle of everything. And if he'd been able to lumber, he only weighs 280 pounds. He's 6'4", and that is Morris Stevens.
24 passes now for Siebold in this game. Won't surprise you, a Danny close offense.
Here's Siebold rolling to his left. He's looking for an open receiver. He's got a man open. And
wide open.
Oh, throws it right over his head. And the intended receiver was Jeremiah Shelton.
That was an easy 6.
All the way down at the 35-yard line of Brackenridge. He had a step, and that's going to bring up 4th down now. Lee had a golden opportunity there.
Yeah, Siebold had some time, too, to make a good pass. He wasn't under any pressure whatsoever, and he had his guy wide open. Puente had come up and got beat on that play.
He was 5 yards behind the defender.
But, the one quasi-positive out of that, what a great arm. And he threw that off his back foot. That was a nice spiral, well thrown.
That was a great arm.
Just a tad too far.
Here's the punt.
And the punt is going to drop and roll backwards, and it'll be...
There's a flag. Looked like a hit.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Two flags.
This might be on Lee.
Let me tell you, though, here's a kid, William Siebold, 5'10", 165 pounds. He's a senior. He's got a great arm. Now, if he were playing for a school that had a little more winning record and everything, he might be able to be a star quarterback for some small college.
And I could see that potential, Gary DeLon, because he's throwing a nice spiral. He sets his feet before he throws the ball. He's got the basics down. And if he was part of maybe a team,
even when he's on the run, he was able to throw the ball.
Exactly, when he's on the rollout. And so if he was part of a team that maybe had a little bit better coaching and a little bit better players that could, provide for him, then maybe he could throw his long balls.
It isn't the coaching. It's the fact he doesn't have the personnel on his team.
Charles, did you see what that penalty was? I couldn't understand what he was saying.
Yeah, it was a personal foul on Brackenridge.
Oh, my gosh.
That's their second of this half.
95 yards and penalties for Brackenridge tonight.
Number 2.
He's going to take it out on somebody tomorrow. They'll have to run some laps or something. Willie Hall is a disciplinarian. He doesn't like that kind of
9 penalties for 95 yards. You're giving away a football field to the other team.
So it'll be trip set right here. Julian Cameron throwing out on the flank. And it is to Telemontes, and he is tackled at the...
No, he's not tackled. He is spun, thrown, wrestled to the turf.
Or that.
Or quite as emphatic.
And just the body language and everything has changed for the Volunteers.
It sure has. Gain of 1, Chase.
So it'll be 2nd and 9. With a quad set on the left and a single receiver out right.
They got quadruple receivers set left, and
so here's Julian Cameron rolling to his right, keeping.
Oh, and a very dangerous carry of the ball. He almost lost it. That'd be 4th and punt, guys.
But that'll pick up a couple yards.
But it'll still be
making it 3rd and.
I thought it was going to be 4th, but I guess not.
5th,
3rd and 6.
3rd and 6.
Wow, this is big. You talk about a big play right here in the game.
This is a big play. 3rd down conversion. Let's see it. Trip set left, single receiver on the right. Here's the handoff to Hernandez, and Hernandez is up, and he's got space, and it's the 1st down for Hernandez.
Why?
12-yard carry.
Why is because the right guard and right tackle, Valenciana and Romero, opened a hole that you could have driven an AMC through.
Driven a what?
Yeah, I was thinking Chase wouldn't know what that was.
16 first downs in this ball game now.
Not really sure that I know what it was.
It's a movie theater, isn't it?
Here's Julian Cameron. He fakes handoff.
Intercepted. Boy, he got popped right when he threw that ball, too.
And a great play defensively.
That was Evan Pledger making the interception. And then...
And let me tell you.
Yep.
You still got a shaken up quarterback.
He got absolutely popped as he was throwing that ball. Let's set up that interception.
Okay. Let's hope he's okay.
So here's Lee High School set up at the Brackenridge 30 with 4:52 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Here comes, he's a gutsy kid, let me tell you. He's hurting. Bless his little heart. Oh, he's hurting. That is the result of that tremendous hit. I didn't see who made that hit.
Well, coming off the field, that was Keith Griffin, the wide receiver.
Griffin, he wasn't the one that got hit by the
quarterback.
Here's Seabolt looking for a receiver. He's got a man open, and it is caught. And that'll be a pickup of 6 yards for the Volunteers.
At the 28-4. Wow. Has this complexion changed, huh?
It has definitely changed. The Lee Volunteers have a little more pep in their step, and they see the end zone.
They've had some Ellen DeGeneres face cream in the dressing room on that play because it's changed complexion.
Oh, okay. All right. Settle yourself down over there.
So the trip set right here. Seabolt looking to his right. He's rolling to his right now, looking for an open receiver. He doesn't have a man open. He's trying to get someone open, and he throws it upfield.
He should have had it.
Someone lost their shoe on that play.
I tell you what, had Evan Cantu been alert, he would have had a reception there. He lost track of the ball and he fell down. He couldn't get to it.
Felt like the ball was just a tad behind him, too.
It was a little bit, yeah.
Very catchable, though. Very catchable.
Yep, should have had it.
You guys are tough. You're tough.
So the player with the equipment problem, number 8, Marquise Anthony, actually went to the locker room. They've taped up his knees, and apparently that did not pass the test, so he's gone in for an equipment change.
Here's the quarterback keep. And, oh, wow. What a tremendous surge. And he did
10-yard gain by Seabolt.
First down. The Lee Volunteers had some Gatorade from Brackenridge in the dressing room, didn't they?
McCade,
wow.
Robert Cade?
Mr. Cade with his Gatorade.
Right.
Well, it'll be 1st and 10 with the double wide out set left and a single on the right. Here's Seabolt handing it off. And he's looking for a hole, but he has nowhere to go because that big defensive line is filling those holes with the linebackers right at their backs. And making that stop was number 24, Aaron Villegas for the Eagles.
And I believe that was Barker. I don't think we've
32.
Yeah.
Yeah, new one. Don't have him on my.
That's Ennis Gustello.
So here's Seabolt trying to throw it to the end zone. He's got a man, and it is
touchdown.
Caught, and that is a touchdown by Jeremiah Shelton. He's got hands. We've seen him this game. He's come out of nowhere and caught some amazing
Oh, he showed
passes.
better hands than Van Gogh in the Sistine Chapel.
Guys, we got ourselves a ball game.
3:13 to go. And ladies and gentlemen, the score has really edged closer. It is 20-16.
2 touchdown passes for Seabolt here in this third quarter.
So here's the PAT, and it is up, high, far, and good.
Isn't it amazing that Seabolt is airworthy?
Okay, that's good. That is really good.
We'll be back. You're listening to Frost High School football on GDP Sports.
You don't hear many cheers for banks. It could be because chants like 2, 4, 6, 8, let my savings account appreciate don't exactly whip crowds into a frenzy. But more likely, it's because most banks haven't given us much to cheer about. It hasn't always been that way. At Frost, we've been San Antonio's hometown favorite since 1868. And if you don't bank with Frost yet, come on over. We promise to never stop working to make you a big fan of everything we do. Visit frostbank.com/expectmore.
Charles Vickers, that was a sensational drive.
Well, I think you were coming to me there, Gary.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
It was a great drive there by back-to-back good drives by Lee, and this game is a brand new ball game. And you mentioned the winning streak there or losing streak there between the timeouts, and one more good drive, and they're right where they want to be.
Seabolt with 154 yards passing in this ball game, 2 passes for touchdown here in this third quarter, has brought Lee back to within eyesight of Brackenridge, 20-17.
This is a high end over end kick. It's short, and there's a wall. Look at 35-40, 45-50, 45-40, 35 and out of bounds.
We got a flag there blocking the back against Brackenridge at the 34-yard line, so this will come back. Yet another penalty against Brackenridge.
Willie Hall has got to be upset and frustrated with all these penalties that have been going on.
They're still going to be set up at midfield, though. That was a great return.
And returning the ball was a guy that's got some great speed. He did show it as he moved to the outside. And the guy that was carrying the ball there was apparently Al Talamantes.
They're going to march off back toward midfield here.
That was number 16 who was guilty on the infraction.
Oh, I'm not going to mention his name. It's already embarrassing enough for the kid. I tell you what, a pretty good crowd on this Friday night with sweltering temperatures. Lee brought some fans over off the far side in this beautiful renovated stadium.
So now it'll be Julian Cameron with the little reverse again, once again, and he has got some space. He's trying to get some more space. There's a flag on the play.
Another flag. Willie Hall is going to be 72 after this game.
Probably so. And
Depending on what
happens, probably going to be more gray.
Depending on what happens here, already 105 yards of penalties against Brackenridge in this ball game.
What does the coach tell you the first day of practice, though? Discipline, friends. Discipline.
Yeah, and he didn't make the tackle, but Martavian Reese was, forced that play out wide, and I think he was the one who was being guilty of being held.
Another 10 yards, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 penalties, Gary. 115 yards for Brackenridge.
So it'll be a bunch crunch on the right with a double wideout set left. Here's Julian Cameron dropping back to pass. He's looking to his right, and he's got a man.
Throws another interception.
Intercepted again by the Volunteers, and he is up and down to the 30, the 20, and he is caught from behind by Keith Griffin once again on the stoppage of the play.
Give that man some oxygen.
That's
Wonderful
the same
play.
kid, my friends. That was Nathan Canales there. Oh, my goodness gracious. What
2 interceptions and back-to-back throws for Cameron.
Oh.
And Lee set up at the 12-yard line of Brackenridge.
I tell you what, he had better hands than an Allstate insurance agent.
It has definitely been a switch in momentum in this ball.
He's taken out a new policy.
Charles, what did we say at halftime? Once Lee just draw a little blood, see what happens.
Trip set left. Here's Seabolt rolling to his right. He's keeping. He's getting more yardage. And he's into the end zone for another touchdown by the Lee Volunteers to make it 23-20 as they lead over the Brackenridge Eagles. What a comeback.
They have ruffled some feathers in the Eagles' nest right now.
2 touchdowns in 50 seconds, gentlemen.
And we're not in the fourth quarter yet. 2:35 to go. Now, discipline. Discipline. Discipline.
Discipline.
That's what Brackenridge has to remember.
And here's the kick. And it is high, far, up, and good. To make it 24-20.
A lot of confusion there on the Brackenridge defense prior to that touchdown run. Again, they're without one of their starters because of an equipment problem.
My goodness, friends, we have a new score, new game, new possibility. 24-20. We'll be back. You're listening to Frost High School Football.
Some people know me by Smitty. Most people call me Mr. Smith. One day I went to Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. Ever since that day, I developed a relationship with Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union that was second to none. I like RBFCU because they create a stress-free environment. It's all about relationships.
Better banking. It's what we do at RBFCU. Join today at rbfcu.org. Membership eligibility required. Written terms subject to change.
Is there a psychologist in the house?
Two interceptions lead to 2 touchdowns as Cameron I don't know what defensive adjustments were made by Lee, but they are putting pressure in the backfield that they had not done.
The blitz has been worse than the London Blitzkrieg.
So, yeah, both interceptions caused by pressure to Cameron.
Here's a high short one again. Fumble! They falls on it. Oh, my goodness.
And making that reception was Aaron Villegas, but he just fell on the ball at the 30-yard line.
I tell you, this is becoming more explosive than a John Wick rerun.
So Seabolt, in this third quarter, Seabolt with 2 touchdown passes and, of course, the 12-yard touchdown run.
More entertaining.
24-20 with 2:23 to go in the third quarter. Keep in mind, guys, Brackenridge was up 20-3 when we came out of halftime.
We sure did.
So a 21-point turnaround, and we still have 2:23 to go.
Well, Danny Closa was quoted in a football magazine that he was looking for a spark.
And he might have just gotten his spark. Here's Julian Cameron with the handoff to Talamontes, and he is taken down.
It's a 6-yard loss.
Way behind the line of scrimmage.
This is a lead to Charles Point. He's
to make
down
it
there. He's
second and
seeing
16.
He's seeing it close up and personal. Lee feels like they can win this game. They're playing with a lot of energy now.
It's like the energy was sucked out of the Eagles and sucked in to the Volunteers. Here's the snap by Cameron. It's going to Jay.
Fumble! That is, no, Lee got it.
Did Lee get it?
Let's see.
Yep.
Lee got
Fumble.
it, my friend.
3 consecutive turnovers by the Brackenridge defense, or Brackenridge offense in the third quarter.
Oh, my goodness. This is like trying to put Martha Ray in a Miss America contest.
I didn't see who carried the ball on that one.
That was a tight end.
That was Jade Rios. on the carry, and he got hit and he fumbled the ball. I didn't see who recovered the ball.
I mean, is this the same team we saw at first half?
No, it is not, Gary DeLong.
Minute 48 left in the quarter. We've still got another quarter to go.
Lee set up on the 25-yard line and with all kinds of momentum right now.
Trip set left.
Here's Seabolt rolling to his right. He's keeping on that fake pinch once again. He's got yardage.
Down to the 17-yard line.
He is making headway.
He picks up 8.
2nd and 2.
Holy mackerel.
They might go in here again, Gary DeLon.
What a ball game, friends. What a change of complexion, change of
air temperature,
momentum,
that's for
everything.
Sure. Here's Seabolt throwing out to the wide left, and it is dropped.
Yeah, it was a little slow getting there.
Jarrett Zavala.
Not a whole lot of yardage there had he caught it. Great defensive
and
coverage
almost intercepted by Brack.
So this is an important field position for the Volunteers.
I look for Seabolt on a carry. He's going to counter, fake, and carry.
Well, I guess we don't even have to call this play.
I guess not.
Let's just watch this happen.
Yep, he was right. Gary DeLon, you're just magical.
That's why they call me Mandrake. And you don't know who Mandrake is.
Is that why they call you that? I was curious about that.
I still don't understand.
Be careful. Be careful.
Yeah.
I think this humid air made you loopy.
More loopy. Loopy is what you mean.
1st and 10 at the 15, ladies and gentlemen.
Double wide out set left, single receiver on the right. Here's Seabolt with the little bobble. And it's goes to Telesford with a little bit of gain of yardage.
He bobbled it, though, as he caught
bobbled
the
it.
pass.
They both bobbled it.
That would be a real bobblehead if he had dropped that ball.
It might have been.
You're down to 10 seconds. They may or may not get this play away. I don't think they will.
I think they're going to run out the clock and then go straight into the fourth quarter on the other side of the field. That way they have more time to think about what they're going to do.
You know, could there be a ghost in the closet at Alamo Stadium? Maybe somebody left from that 63 ball game? This is exciting. You wouldn't guess that this team is 0-19 coming into this contest.
Well, that's a great point. And I love what Willie Hall's done with Brackenridge. This is going to be a playoff team this year. They start district next week.
11 years out of 12, he's been in the playoffs.
And now they are going up against a Lee team. And, Gary, how many times have you seen it year after year after year going up against a team that has nothing to lose? All they've known is losses. They get into a situation where they can stop it, and they can just play lights out.
They may have – last playoff may have been the days of the Edsel. Man. Well, I'll tell you what. You don't have to call me darling, because it's a birthday of David Allen Cole, 1939.
Oh.
You never even call me by my name. Ever.
Well, here come the names back out of the sideline huddle.
Yes,
2nd down, 8.
Trip set right. Single receiver on the left, isolated all by himself on the wide side of the field. Here's a man in motion. Here's the handoff to
Fumble. Seabolt falls on it. Oh, my goodness, he missed the handoff.
It was going to be a handoff to Telesford, but he had the little fumble and had to fall on it.
This is an important play here. I mean, do they have a field goal kicker who could give them the 30 yards? They did it earlier.
Holly's not in there.
Nope, I'm not in there.
3rd and 9.
If I was in there, I would put it through the uprights right now. Right then. That's nothing.
At the 14. Seabolt.
Wide out set left.
Big play here.
Here's Seabolt dropping back to pass. He's looking to his left. He's got a man in the end zone. And he
overthrew him. He was wide open.
Delgado right there for the pass. He just overthrew him.
Seabolt knows it too. He's got his hands on his hips. So they're going to try for the field goal here. be another 30-yard try. And, guys, this is important because then you get the touchdown
It'd be
lead.
a 27-20 if they did it with the PAT. I mean, it'd be the same as a touchdown.
Rodriguez was able to punch one through in the first half.
This is a 30-yarder. No wind to speak of.
No wind to speak of. And here's the kick.
And it is
boom.
Good. He got it through. Wow.
That was a line. That looked like a Willie Mays line drive. Man.
Another 3-iron.
No, that didn't look like a 3-iron. That looked like more like a 4.
More 4, yeah. Kind of punched it a little more elevation on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a field goal to make it 27-20. We'll be back. You're listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Sports.
In 1974, it began as a small printing company with 3 employees and the hope for the future. Today, Eagle Print has soared into the business community with 30 employees and the most efficient high-tech and graphic equipment in San Antonio. Maybe you need to print up a business plan for your next venture, or you might need a new marketing brochure for a top client. Ray's been involved with planning and designing such things for many, many years. His business cards are true marquees for business, professional, and personal use. That's Eagle Print, located at 8938 Broadway, north of Loop 410. Call 822-1908.
It goes back to Meredith Wilson when he wrote Music Man. You got to believe, boys. You got to believe. As he tried to get the band.
That was a musical, by the way.
Yes, it was.
Chase, in case you didn't know that.
Robert Preston.
11:06 to go in the fourth quarter. Lee High School, you hear this right, Lee with a 27-20 lead over Brackenridge as we are seeing quite the turnaround.
And here's the boot, and it goes to the 30 once again, and it is dropped once again.
So, gentlemen, you look at this ball game, and now in the space of 50 seconds, Lee had scored 2 touchdowns on back-to-back interceptions by the Brackenridge quarterback, Cameron. And then a fumble by the running back, Rios, who tight end running back Rios, set up that 30-yard field goal. So
Aaron Villegas was the returner who fell on the ball.
So in the space of, let me look here. Let me do my arithmetic, gentlemen. 3 minutes and 53 seconds, Lee came up with 17 points off of 3 turnovers.
So it'll be a handoff to Telemontes as he looks for a hole, and he's got a hole, but he's going to be pushed out of bounds.
After 16 yards, 17 yards, 18. They give him 19 yards on the carry. Wow.
Pushed out of bounds by Edgar Pledger.
And more important, no penalties.
No flag.
53 yards rushing now tonight for Telemontes on 13 carries.
10:50 left to play in the ball game.
Although Lee is in front, they're going to have to hold that defensive position. Trip set right, single receiver on the left. Here is Cameron putting the man in motion behind him, and here's the handout to Telemontes, and Telemontes tries to go through the right hole.
First down. First down carry, picks up 4.
So it'll be 2nd and 6 with 10 minutes, 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
That was Hernandez.
Hernandez with the carry.
Lee in a 43D.
Here's Julian Cameron as he hands it off to Telemontes this time, and he's going to the outside, and he is pulling up, and he
almost broke free
with a hard hit.
Lee could not wrap him up in the back, and he was able to get some positive yardage out of this. Not quite enough.
That was a hard hit made by
Jonathan Rivas was one of the tacklers on that play, but it's 3rd down and 3. There's another big play defensively for the Lee Volunteers.
Notice how they're not keeping Cameron camped back in the backfield right now.
No.
That has not worked in that third quarter into the early fourth.
Jade Rios switches from the right to the left.
Almost offsides.
Almost. Here's the handoff to Telemontes, trying to get that hole.
Did not get it.
He did not get it, and that'll make it
4th and 3.
And 3.
Actually, about 4th. Yeah, almost 3. I believe they're going to go. I don't know. I think they're going to go for it, Richard.
Well, it's something they've got to have. Here's the issue for Willie Hall, though. You go for it, you don't make it. You give Lee the ball near midfield, and all of a sudden you got a team with all the momentum. And this is a very important play for Brackenridge in this ball game with 9 minutes to go.
Yep.
Here's Cameron with the handoff to Telemontes. He's looking for a hole, and
he got it.
Got the first down.
Woo. Picks up 4. He needed 3. And again, that big 8-0 came up to make the stop.
16 carries now for Telemontes in this ball game, has 61 yards.
Mataveon Reese makes the stop.
Cameron has not thrown the ball since throwing back-to-back interceptions in the third quarter. Been all ground game here for Brackenridge.
8:38 to go in the game.
So it'll be Cameron handing it off to Hernandez, and Hernandez looking for space, and he is brought down at the line of scrimmage.
No place to go.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 at the 40-yard line.
And racing over to make the stop off his left cornerback position, he came all the way across field, was Evan Pledger.
8 minutes, 19 seconds left in the clock.
Is Mr. Vickers able to hear us now or not?
I've been able to hear you the whole game.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and say something.
I just haven't been able to say much.
Here is Cameron throwing to Jade Rios, but it is a incomplete pass.
Yeah, you get kind of short hands it there. Rios, he was the one who had the last fumble.
He heard footsteps too. That was part of that.
What do you hear? I mean, you're on the western sideline, on the Brock side. Pardon me. Can you tell any like a concern there?
Well, absolutely. There's just the body language of not only the fans but the players, the coaching staff, the way they're talking.
We have a timeout on
the way they're
field.
huddling.
This looks like an injury timeout, however.
Yeah, there was an injured lead player, number 15.
Right. So they got him off, and going to have to get all the trainers off the field. Or
Josh Johnson.
Coach Closa didn't want the injury bite to bite him, but it might have this game. So it'll be 3rd and 10.
3rd and 10, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, another big play for the lead D.
8 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
7:59.
You have to assume this is two-play territory for Brackenridge.
Absolutely.
Yep. I think you're right.
So it'll be double wide out set right with a single on the left. Julian Cameron handing it off to I think that's Hernandez.
Little surprised at that play.
Yeah. He gets, what did they give him, 4?
Yeah, maybe hoping to catch Lee off
4th and
off
6.
guard.
4th and 6.
And they didn't. They stayed put.
We keep saying this may be the biggest play of the game, but this could be the biggest play of the game.
That's right.
Here for Lee.
Puente lining up isolated
West
on
Coast
the left
style
side.
offense here.
Double wide out set right. Here's Cameron, and I see the blitz coming on, and he is getting rushed in the backfield, and it is dropped.
The ball.
Yeah, never caught it.
Never caught it.
Too bad,
Great,
but he was racked just as the ball got there.
Intended receiver was
Carlos Camargo.
Yeah, he had one player, I'm not sure who it was, who flashed in front of that pass, kind of blocked his vision, and he never really got a good look at that ball and couldn't hold on to it.
So Lee has 7 minutes to kill.
Now Camargo had a touchdown catch earlier in this ball game.
He sure did. My goodness.
If you're Lee, you want to stay aggressive.
You want to stay aggressive.
And even a field goal would further their cause.
It definitely would.
5-man front, 52D.
27-20.
Here's Seabolt with the handoff.
Oh, my goodness.
He broke free.
Broke free.
And he's to the 40. He cuts back to the 30 and down at the 28-yard line.
Oh, my goodness.
Lee has just gotten the explosiveness that they've been missing.
Man, he traveled Highway 78. He slipped past the defender and headed for the rest stop at Buc-ee's. Oh, my goodness.
32-yard gain.
Now, you know, it looks like the Brack kids are the ones that are the more tired of the two.
That's
right
exactly what I was about to say, Gary. Great point.
Almost like they kind of faked that. Like they fake like they are getting tired, and then somehow they got this rejuvenation of energy.
A lead will do that for you, Chase.
Double wide out set left. Here is Seabolt handing it off, and here's some more yardage, but there's a flag on the play as there's a tussle
of muscle.
Without
Jane Russell.
Okay, Gary DeLong. Okay.
This might be the first flag we've had in a little while. It's
yes, it
so
is.
Unusual.
Very unusual.
Let's see if Charles is able to spot this one.
Well, it was pretty quick, so
it's going to be against Lee.
It was
probably a hold.
Yeah, holding penalty.
Oh my!
Oh,
back to the 39.
Might be an opportunity here for Lee to look over here at number 11, Shelton again. They haven't gone to him in a while.
So it's 1st and 20.
Yeah, they've been churning out some yards on the ground in this, which is unusual for when you think of this game. Seabolt has thrown the ball 31 times.
6:16 to go in the game, friends.
So it'll be Shelton and Delgado on the left. On the right, Edgar Martinez.
75 yards and penalties now for Lee.
Here's Seabolt with the handoff to Telesford, and he is driving his legs and
down to 29.
Boy, he is a bowling ball.
10-yard gain. 2nd and 10.
Score update. Madison. Oh my gosh, I lost it again. I keep losing.
But we know Madison's in there.
48-23 over Austin Bowie.
Wow, have they come back?
Well, aren't you just excited?
They trailed the first half. Well, here we go. It's 2nd and 10 now. Actually, about 11.
Looking over to the bench for the play. Here's the double wideout set right with Shelton isolated on the left by himself. Here's Seabolt. Takes the snap, hands it off to Telesford again, and he's got a hole.
Look
and
at
he's
this
going.
guy
He's got the first down and more.
I have never seen a team with a Jekyll and Hyde personality so pronounced as we've had in the second half.
Telesford now 60 yards on 11 carries in this ball game.
They have really come together in this second half.
It's a Jekyll and Hyde, and we don't have Spencer Tracy. So it's a heck of a performance by the Lee Volunteers. Ladies and gentlemen, Spencer Tracy was an old-time actor that nobody...
Oh, yeah.
Like I said again, I wasn't alive. Double wide out set right with Shelton isolated on the left. Once again, here's Seabolt taking the snap, and he hands it off to Telesford again, and he reverses, and it gets a little more yards with the gain of 5.
Down to the 10. Okay, this is the key right here.
So it'll be 2nd and 6.
4:20 to play in the ball game.
And 2nd and 6 at the 10-yard line.
And even a three-pointer would almost put it out of reach.
Telesford has been such a force in this fourth quarter.
Oh, my goodness.
And here's how you don't discount it. Well, you know what Danny Close is doing? He is chewing up clock.
That's right.
And as they bring Telesford,
he almost has a first down.
Yeah, he does.
Right.
I believe he does have a first down. And we got a shaken up Eagle. He's slow getting up.
They brought 2 Eagles on that blitz because they knew Telesford was going to get the ball. And Telesford just looked at him and then just sprinted straight through them.
Traydon Wise was shaken up, but he goes back to the defensive huddle. So if they go in here, friends, there will be a celebration on Jackson Keller about midnight tonight.
Golly, 3rd and 2. So did not get the first down on that one. 3rd and 2, the ball on the 6, and the clock is running. Going to be inside 3 minutes here in a moment.
So it'll be same formation with Shelton isolated on the left. Don't forget about him. Here's Seabolt.
Maybe offside.
And he hands it off to Telesford, but it is stopped.
Well, I didn't see a flag there, but
nope.
I'm with you, Gary. I sure thought that
somebody
right end,
moved.
That right end was across the line before the snap.
And
4th down.
This is where you say, well, the field goal would be good.
Well, the field goal would put it out of reach, in my opinion.
Me too, because there's only 3 minutes left in the game.
We have a volunteer shaking up one of the blocking tackles. This has been one heck of a ball game, even though we've had a lot of penalties.
24-point second half by Lee, and, you know, the other part of this is they've shut out Brackenridge.
Yes.
They definitely have.
Brackenridge in the first half, 225 yards of offense.
Man.
And I got to do some arithmetic here as far as how much they've got in the second half.
Did the Aggies teach math?
No, not I ran out of my fingers and toes.
Of course they do.
I'll tell you what, Chase Hawley was so impressed with A&M. He said that all the porta potties and the dumpsters were Aggie colors, and that impressed him more than anything.
And the gas stations were all maroon, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they all say Aggie
maroon,
96.
And it's the only maroon Whataburger in the world.
Yes, it is. That's very true.
Shaken up and being helped off, and this young man has played his heart out as well here tonight. And going off the field is Taj Tellisford.
He's really played a good second half, and particularly on this drive.
That's a painful loss for
Brackenridge
Lee.
got lucky that they did not get called for offsides on that play.
Field goal try.
27
kick is up, it is high, it is far. He got it.
He got it. What about that?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 30-20. 2:40 and ticking.
Why is it ticking, Gary?
I don't know. It should be stopped. They lost 5 seconds right there.
Yeah, they might have to do something on that. So Rodriguez with 3 field goals in this ball game, 2 30-yarders, a 27-yarder.
Our player of the game has to be.
Yeah, I would give it to Seabolt. He's thrown the ball 31 times. He's been outstanding. 12-yard touchdown run, 2 touchdown passes. But it is a balanced team effort.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a balanced team effort. I mean, Shelton's probably the most outstanding in terms of spectacular plays, but Seabolt had to get him the ball.
Well, here's the other thing. The Lee defense might be your player of the game.
That's true.
Well, I tell you what, they really got up on their hind legs here in the second half.
Happy birthday, Mark Chestnut, born in 1963 on this day.
Oh, yeah. Brother Jukebox.
All right, I knew that was going to happen. Here we go.
Sister one.
That's the first person you've ever said happy birthday to that Chase knew who he was.
No.
So
I knew David Allen Coe, and I knew Mark Chestnut.
Well, Richard
was,
didn't know whose birthday this was. Joseph Kennedy was born on this date in 1888.
Brackenridge called for a 15-yard penalty here.
What was the call?
And I don't know. We were too busy singing Mark Chestnut songs. I missed it. But they're kicking off. Lee is kicking off from the 45-yard line.
Look for an onside.
Oh.
No, he put this out of the end zone.
Yeah.
They want him to drive 80 yards.
Yep.
You're down to 2:36. They didn't give him 5 seconds, bud.
That's 130 yards in penalties for Brackenridge tonight.
Well, Willie told us before the game that they had 27 penalties. Was that right? Would I hear right?
Yes.
Last week?
27 penalties. They had 12 penalties
So
tonight.
something is going on with the mentality of the Eagles right now.
130 yards in penalties, 3 turnovers in the second half alone, including the 2 costly interceptions in the third quarter and the fumble that led to the field goal to begin the fourth quarter. That's when Lee took the control of this ball.
Does
game.
Mr. Vickers have the recorder down there? Or are we going to go live?
Here's Cameron with that reverse play once again. And he's coming around, and there's a flag on the play.
Yep, be a flag against Brackenridge.
I got a final score for you. Clemens defeats MacArthur 56-21. And Smithson Valley defeats Pflugerville Henriksen 43-15.
That was a nice run by Camargo.
Yeah, but the edge was set by a hold on the tight end, number 26, Rios.
Yep.
You got to have discipline, Charles.
So let's update this to 112 penalties for 140 yards for Brackenridge.
It's just you can't let this happen.
Yeah, and he had the position. He just didn't have to hold him.
This has been the second half has been a complete field position half.
Yeah, you can see heads down on
2:30 left in the game. It is 30-20. Lee leading by 10.
Lee with the 19-game losing
dropping
streak.
back.
They're going to go for the aerial. They're going to a Hail Mary. And it doesn't work because they're to stop the Hail Mary with his own.
There's going to be another penalty. Oh.
Making the stop in the backfield. We haven't mentioned his name too many times tonight, but he played well on that, and that was Eugene Salazar. No, I'm sorry. It was Adrian Gomez.
9-yard gain on that.
And Brackenridge player spiked the ball after he got up. Lucky he wasn't called for a sportsmanlike penalty.
1:50 to go. 1:50. You got a quadruple set to the left. Long count. They got to get the ball underway. It's going to be a long area with the Hail Mary.
Oh, boy, he got hit, too. Good reception up at the 35-yard line, but I'll tell you what, Cameron is going to need a good night's sleep after this one. He is really getting popped back there.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's a heck of a quarterback, though. And, you know, it looks like he's got lights in his shoes. Are those lights or reflectors?
Reflectors. Those aren't lights.
Man, that would be a lighted up sole right there.
Those are nice shoes, by the way. I think you need to get a pair. Here's Cameron rolling out to his right, trying to throw deep, and he's...
that might be
nice
contact.
job.
I'm a little surprised there. No flag.
No.
Oh, here it comes. That's ridiculous for the back judge to throw that fully 10
across
seconds
the
after
field.
The play is over.
Across the field.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was not a...
Well, 109 to play.
Holding.
The line judge, Charles, is standing 5 yards away, doesn't throw a thing.
I'm not sure what he saw.
The back judge is back on the 30.
Calling holding.
Defensive holding?
Defensive holding.
Well, it's easy for me to officiate from up here, too, I guess. But
well, I've got an angle on that one. I just didn't see anything at all. He was off the ball.
Well, it's out of bounds.
And I'm not sure. And he came.
Defensive holdings.
You hate to see that play a factor.
15-yard penalty.
109 to play in the game.
So
they're 10 down. It's 30-20. Lee.
Lee's got 90 yards of penalties tonight.
Quadruple receivers on the left side.
43D. The chase. And it's going to be a keep. And going out of bounds.
Now, see, look, there was a mistake right there.
Yep.
As Cameron put his head down and stayed in bounds on the tackle all the way up to the 42. So it's an 8-yard gain, but
54 seconds.
Kept the clock running.
54 seconds left. Could this be the end of a 19-game losing streak, my friends?
I don't know what Cameron was thinking there, but I know we're late, but every second counts at this point if you do happen to somehow pull off a score.
And this
here.
is a late-moving game, too, with all the penalties. How many total penalties have we had both sides?
Let me check those up. You're going to make me do arithmetic again.
My goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to make a trip down Nostalgia Lane tonight.
22 penalties, Gary. 22 penalties totaling 230 yards of penalties. 90 for Lee, 140 yards of penalties for Brackenridge.
Willie Hall's not going to be too happy.
Not at all.
The ball is going to be at the 42-yard line.
Check.
It is to be...
check.
You're good. You're there.
3 yards needed for a first down. 43 yards needed for a touchdown.
So it'll be trip set left and a single receiver isolated on the right. Here's Cameron.
Oh, boy, he was absolutely blistered in the backfield.
But it was a legal hit.
It sure was. He got popped.
He was tattooed, my friends. You talk about an endangered species. He could have been arrested for shooting an eagle right there. My goodness.
Cameron is one of his last 6 throwing, including the 2 interceptions that led to 2 touchdowns in the third quarter.
51 seconds.
3rd and 2. With the quadruple set of receivers on the left side. With that bunch.
Here's
Cameron rolling
the rollout, the throw, downfield.
Intercepted
again,
he dropped it.
Oh, my goodness sakes, they're gracious. And he had it in his mitts, and he zigged when he should have zagged. And that was Abram Pruneda.
1 for 7 now over his last 8 passes.
43 seconds left in the ball game.
But you know what? I talk about Cameron misfiring a lot of these passes. You talk about being under pressure and taking some hits.
He's done a good job of just keeping his poise.
He's going to need a big ice tub after this game.
Yes, he is. Ice bath sounds great.
Oh, the Lee fans are beginning to stand on the far side now. Who can blame them?
They're excited. Here's the snap. Cameron dropping back. Now he's being pressured by 2. And it's Hernandez, and it is caught by Hernandez, but it is...
Well, he took his helmet off. That's going to be a 15-yard penalty right there.
What is wrong with these kids?
Well, he tried to make the tackle, and his hands slid up to his helmet. He just was trying to pull him down and yanked the helmet right off.
35 seconds left.
Carlos Hernandez wasn't too happy about that, but at this point it might be moot, but it'll be a first down.
Danny's
going to go against, he's going to march it off against Lee.
And that is just one of those penalties that hurts.
35 seconds left. This could be a game of modern destiny, I guess you could say, after losing 19 in a row.
No foul.
Well, you came to this stadium tonight for some history, and you got some history.
So now they're marching off the 15 yards against Brackenridge.
Against Lee.
Lee, I should say. That's 105 yards in penalties now against Lee. Both teams now over 100 yards in penalties.
At the 27-yard line.
Here's Cameron throwing out to Jade Rios. It is caught.
Keep him in bounds.
He will be brought down
at the 12-yard line. And you're down to 23 seconds. Is that right?
23 seconds.
Timeout for Brackenridge.
23 seconds. Oh, my goodness. I wonder if there's anybody in the Express News sports staff covering this game tonight. No, I didn't see anybody. They're covering Madison Wagner, which should be covered. Two great teams.
Yes,
only like 5 people left in the Express News sports staff anyway. So, not that I'm bitter or anything.
You know, I'd hate to be down. You'd feel like Colonel Custer. My goodness.
Yeah, good friends there going through it.
I know.
Pretty safe with a 10-point lead at this juncture.
With 23 seconds left. 25
seconds. 25 seconds.
How many timeouts on the scoreboard?
Brackenridge with one more timeout to go. If I'm reading that right, Charles.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
2 for Lee.
So it'll be double whiteout set both sides. Here's Cameron taking the snap. He's looking to his left. He's throwing into the corner of the end zone, and it is swatted down by number 1 for the Lee Volunteers, and that is Enrique Davis.
And it's going to be a personal foul, roughing the kicker, roughing the passer.
Oh, boy.
Roughing the passer.
Well, oh, my goodness. 19 seconds left.
They've been roughing him
all night
legally all the second half. This time they hit him a little bit late.
You know, I mean, I love officials, and you have a son whose dad was an official, but sometimes an overzealous crew can just keep throwing the darn flag. And
yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they've missed a couple obvious ones.
It is really ridiculous to have 31 penalties in a ball game.
It really is, because it really slows the game.
I mean,
time
you know,
down.
we'll be here till New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Now the clock is winding, supposedly.
Here's Cameron with the little pitch out to Telemontes, and Telemontes
kept him out. Well, they got to call timeout.
21 makes the stop again.
There's 8 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
Yep, this is should be the last play of the game.
I have a final score for you. Steele defeats Reagan 34-21.
Boy, Reagan.
Lavernia beats McCollum 63-10. Go Lavernia Bears.
I got the feeling he was going for the Lavernia Bears in that game.
Yeah, I think so. I tell you what, Reagan's in for a tough season apparently.
Well, Reagan, Johnson, Madison.
Madison's come from behind.
So it's gonna
Churchill's losing tonight. MacArthur lost. So all but 2 teams have lost in the 26-5.
Yeah, Lee's going to have one in the win column.
Yep. Lee and Madison will be victorious.
Really happy for Danny Closa.
Me too.
He talked about his situation at Lee. He stayed there. He's had opportunities to leave. He really likes his new principal.
There's somebody moved. They didn't call it. And the ball's knocked away. And they're down to...
Fourth down.
on the clock. You got 9 seconds.
Fourth down.
This game, as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say, it's over.
3rd down and 4 to get to the end zone at this point. Lee's just playing their tails off because they got.
Here is a fade.
Oh, wow, that looked like a catch to me. Let's see the replay. They called it incomplete, but there's a flag. As the Brackenridge player threw the ball at the official.
Well, this is ridiculous. Of course, discipline.
Carlos Camargo.
Discipline.
I thought Camargo came down in bounds, so I could see him being upset here. I really felt like he came in.
You can't lose your poise.
But you cannot lose your poise and fling the ball at the official like that.
Especially when what happened in Dayton last week.
Yeah, I think I think the player
was so frustrated.
At this point, it doesn't matter, but he's been thrown out of the game.
That's a shame, though.
155 yards and penalties against Brackenridge tonight.
Willie is not going to be a happy camper.
14 penalties, 155 yards for Brackenridge tonight.
This should be the last play of the game right here.
Yeah.
4 seconds.
Most of the league coaching staff's on the field.
What
questions?
There's a question.
Yeah, on a personal foul, player ejected. Should that be a loss of down?
I thought so.
I don't know that it matters so much with 4 seconds left.
But who? You're right. I think it should be a loss of down. This game should be over.
And we're going to hear from our head referee.
Okay.
10 seconds.
I didn't hear that.
There's going to be a 10-second runoff.
Well, that's the game.
Yeah, that's your game.
The game is over.
4th down, yeah.
Well, the game should be over.
No, I guess they...
All right, this is it. 3, 2, 1.
Well, he caught it.
That's the ball game.
There it is.
Caught a touchdown pass at the end there.
They do have to do the extra point.
But the game is over anyway. Great catch. Great pass. But the game is over. They'll just add a point to the board. It'll be 30-27. And look at the Lee kids already. Here is the snap. The kick is up high, far, and it is good. 30-27 is the final. The Lee Volunteers, my friends, on this historic night when we took a trip down Nostalgia Lane, it has been a great evening, remembering the past and what a great future for the Lee Volunteers.
Well, congratulations to Danny Closa. Been through a lot, trying to teach. He talked before this game, Gary, to you about how many freshmen he has. He's trying to teach these guys how to win. This is how you do it. You take on a playoff team of 11 of the last 12 years, and you go out there and you outplay them. But you can't say it enough, Gary, and Chase, in this ball game, Brackenridge, all those penalties, they gave away a football field and a half in penalty yardage in this ball game. And the 3 big turnovers, 2 interceptions in the second quarter that both led to touchdowns, and the fumble at the end of the third quarter that led
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
But here's some class right there. All the Brack coaches giving a hug to the Lee coaches.
All right.
Well, I made a pretty bold statement before the game. I told our team I've never lost in the stadium as a player or as a coach. So it still holds true. I haven't lost in the stadium.
Well, what were the keys? I mean, what did you tell those guys at halftime?
We were down 23. We had some good drives. We had to clean up the penalties. We had some penalties, and we knew we had to hold our composure. It's a physical game. We knew they were very physical. Held our composure times. Defense did great the second half. Came out. We got some turnovers. And then the offense started clicking, and we started executing. Our quarterback played well. Receivers came up big, and then at the end, our offensive line just took over the game, fourth quarter, and we ran it out. So I was pretty proud of those kids for doing that.
You should be proud of him, and you did a pretty good job. Coach Adams told me before the game, guys, just did your things that you can do. You'll be in the game. What are some of the keys? You talked about it, but
well, the kids never quit. We're never going to ring the bell. But the second half key for us was the defense got some stops, got some turnovers, and then we capitalized on that field position and we executed offensively. We found some things that we at halftime we thought we could do, and we did. We came out the first drive and scored, and that was our goal, number one goal. Let's take the opening second half kickoff and score, and we got back in the game, and we got some momentum. And then we executed our offense a lot better the second half than we did the first.
Congratulations, big win. You guys deserve the celebration.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, a big night for the Lee Volunteers, and they'll be celebrating till midnight over on Jackson Keller. 19-game losing streak has been snapped, my friends, and you heard it right here. As we made our trip and trek down memory lane, and now we have a new memory to think about as a 19-game losing streak is snapped. And we want to thank you for listening with us. We'll be back to wrap up stats in just a moment. You're listening to Frost High School Football on GDP Sports.
You don't hear many cheers for banks. It could be because chants like 2, 4, 6, 8, let my savings account appreciate don't exactly whip crowds into a frenzy. But more likely, it's because most banks haven't given us much to cheer about. It hasn't always been that way. At Frost, we've been San Antonio's hometown favorite since 1868. And if you don't bank with Frost yet, come on over. We promise to never stop working to make you a big fan of everything we do. Visit frostbank.com/expectmore.
In 1984, high school students were dancing to the song Hey Mickey. That same year, Sherry Armstrong opened Mecca Sportswear to provide those students with quality leather jackets along with all district and all state patches. Well, now, 3 decades later, Sherry and her family are still providing custom leather jackets and award patches to South Texas' greatest student achievers. Call toll-free 844-HEY-MECCA. Hey Mecca, 844-HEY-MECA.
In 2017, more than 4,700 people were killed in crashes involving large trucks in the U.S. Semi-trucks, which weigh 20 to 30 times as much as passenger cars, can cause severe injuries in the event of a wreck. If you were injured in an 18-wheeler accident, call Thomas J. Henry. Thomas J. Henry handles serious trucking cases and gets serious results for injured clients. Start your free claim today at tjhlaw.com/radio. That's tjhlaw.com/radio.
San Antonio, Texas.
Every San Antonio family has a dream to live in their own castle. There's one San Antonio real estate expert who can fulfill that dream, and he has provided many wonderful kingdoms for hundreds of home buyers in South Texas. Chris Collins of RE/MAX Preferred has been the realtor selected by families that want to make that dream a reality. He'll provide the expertise and confidence to purchase the home that's your address for future happiness. Call Chris at RE/MAX Preferred 210-213-2432.
Well, we knew when we came here that the odds of snapping a 19-game losing streak against a team that had been in the playoffs 11 out of the last 12 years was pretty far-fetched.
Oh, yeah.
That's like me winning a ratings game at Channel 5 when I did sports.
We knew that was never going to happen. No, not a chance.
So but what a great performance it is for, and perseverance. That's what you have to say. Perseverance from Danny Closa and his coaching staff. All those, and I love Willie Hall. What a great coach he is. But my goodness, this was a pretty historic night, really.
It really was, and a tale of two halves. And it was interesting. Charles was up here at halftime. We were talking about the idea of Lee High School having to come out down 20-3, but try to get some positive out of the second half. Something to go into next week against Antonian. Danny Closa playing his good friend Van Fushak, who's the head coach over at Antonian. Those two coached together, all those kind of different kind of things. And boy, I tell you, Lee came out in the second half and they made some things happen. And that was the one thing we talked about. You just get the door cracked open just a smidge, and all of a sudden then you kick it open. And that's what you look at the second half. Lee with 229 yards of offense in the second half after only having 85 in the first half, so a total of 314.
Lead team of old there.
It was exactly. Brackenridge in the second half, conversely, only 81 yards of offense in the second half, 306 yards total. Brackenridge had the 3 TD runs, but the big key in this ball game, those penalties, we add them up 155 yards of penalties for Brackenridge in this game. The 2 interceptions by Cameron in the third quarter of the Lee defense really stepped up. Both of those set up touchdowns, which gave Lee the lead. Then a fumble at the end of the third quarter, and Lee was able to convert that into a field goal. And again, Rodriguez, the field goal kicker today, 2 30-yard field goals and a 27-yard field goal. So everything kind of worked right, especially down the stretch for Lee.
Young man doing the play-by-play for a game of this significance when a 19-game losing streak was snapped, and it had to make you feel pretty proud that you're able to do the game here tonight.
It did make me feel really proud to do the game tonight, and it always makes me feel proud when I get to be able to do this kind of thing. And I always think about if I would have played football, I would have never been able to do this. So playing soccer and knowing that I get to do this every year with you has just made it a lot better. And especially it's with you, and it's a good time to spend with you, and you taught me a lot of things over the years. And I worked myself up from being just a spotter to the play-by-play man, and it's really been a big accomplishment.
Well, yeah, I can brag on him.
And, it'll be kind of fun when he's doing it on your 70th anniversary of doing high school football games. That'll be that'll be worth maybe a headline at that point.
You're bringing tears to my eyes, Richard. Plus, I have to go to the restroom pretty quick. But
you're swimming.
The thing about it is, this was pretty historic for a team that has a lot of history. The Robert E. Lee Volunteers pulled one from out of the past, my friends, and they won it. And it was about like Truman beating Dewey in '48. Everybody thought that.
Everyone thought it was over.
Yeah, thought it was over, and it was just a lot of fun. I mean, every game with these guys, and Charles does a great job on the sideline. And Mark Witherall's not here; he's watching the Aggies and Clemson tomorrow.
We'll forgive him.
Walter Stoops would be jealous. You did such a great job on stats, Richard.
Who needs it?
This guy should be still doing the Spurs games, but it's another subject, just like it's another subject with the Robert E. Lee Volunteers anyway. Final score was 30-27. The 19-game losing streak ended. Isn't there a Whataburger over on Jackson Keller? I think I may go
there
by
is
that.
one. Absolutely.
Because it's going to be booming tonight. And Chase Holly, young man, I'm proud of you. And thanks to Steve Fanning and Mason DeLon and all the people we had. Hey, around the world we had people listening tonight.
Absolutely. All the way to Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm not at all sure that Crocodile Dundee wasn't hearing us, Thank you, everybody. We really enjoyed it, and I want to thank all of our sponsors for putting up with me. And we want you to join us next Thursday. It'll be Madison against Smithson Valley. And then we have Roosevelt and Laredo Alexander on Friday nights. We have 2 games next week. And we invite you to join us again here on Frost Facebook with me. I mean, it's good on Facebook, but Frost makes it possible. And GDP Sports. Final score, 30-27, as the Lee Volunteers snap their 19-game losing streak. Now we're from the old Rock Yard, Alamo Stadium. Have a great weekend, everybody. Boomer Sooner, even though it's South Dakota.
Thanks, everybody, for joining the GDP Sports broadcast of tonight's contest, brought to you by our following sponsors. Frost, more than a century of serving Texans, and now in the Frost Tower. Central Builders, the Ehrlich family is dedicated to the construction industry with coast-to-coast projects. The law firm of Thomas J. Henry, open 24 hours with legal experts on call. John Lester's Insure One, providing Texans with home and auto protection. By Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union, a credit union that puts people before profits. By APIA Connected Investors, Shannon DeLon, providing insurance for real estate investors. BCFS, a beacon of hope for families around the world. RE/MAX, by Chris Collins, buying or selling a dream home in the real estate world. GPS of Texas, peace of mind for all drivers with installed tracking devices. Dr. Eric Kuhl, providing that $1 million smile with the future of dental health. By Gridiron Heroes, dedicated to assisting young men suffering from football-related spinal cord injuries. Cherry Hills Baptist Church, where the Lord provides the football field for eternity. By Mecca Sportswear, supplying the leather jacket of pride for your school and sport. Eagle Print, where San Antonians take their printing for quality and satisfaction since 1974. Also brought to you by one name that stands out in the San Antonio rental car business, Budget Car and Truck Rental on Sandow Road just east of 281 North.